sights to show you.
Hell yeah.
I wish I could remember the opening lines from Criswell at the beginning of Ed Wood because I would have done that. Damn it! Why didn't I think about doing that? Anyway, tonight we are talking about Ed Wood as we're going to do a couple Burton movies moving forward. We've never done that, and Tim Burton really doesn't do straightforward horror movies, even though there's a lot of horrific depictions in a lot of his movies, even the Batman movies. I think the closest one would be maybe Sleepy Hollow, unless you count Nightmare Before Christmas. Even Edward Scissorhands, which is a good, it's a good one. We had a weird, not weird, a little discussion about that before the show. But tonight we are talking about Ed Wood. We'll delve into the movie, one of the movies, because they spend more time on the Night of the Creature or something. I can't remember the name of it. I'll bring Nate in. He remembers. But Plan 9 from Outer Space, we'll talk a little bit about that, which I didn't get to finish. I will finish it because I feel like while I was watching, it's like required viewing for any like fan of movies. Nate, how you doing?
I'm good.
So yeah, watching Ed Wood yesterday, which I do love this movie very much, and I know you do too. You said you adore it right before. The funny thing is when I said that and you said I adore it, I was getting ready to just launch into another conversation. I was like, wait, let's save it. Before I get any further, let's save it. But what was the other movie? It was Night of the Creature?
Bride of the Monster.
Yeah. Which they spend more time on that than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah, because Bela was dead by the time they got to that. So
yeah.
They focus on Bela. I mean, they skip over between Glenn or Glenda and Bride. He made a movie called Jailbait.
Yeah.
So you don't even talk about because it was a crime film. It wasn't a sci-fi horror film.
Which he's more known for Plan 9 anyway than anything else.
Yeah. So it's 1980 when someone called it the worst film and him and Ed the worst director of all time. And that's when people became aware of him, really.
Do you know who called it that?
I don't remember the guy's name. It was a book called something about something turkeys, like golden turkeys, the golden turkey. And he nominated it as the worst film, and Ed is the worst director of all time, and kind of gave him a new audience because he wasn't known, wasn't like famous. People who loved sci-fi B movies.
Oh, hi from Brazil. Yeah. Give us a little intro on this movie. I gotta run out real fast. I'll be right back. But tell us what Ed Wood's about. I'm sorry.
Oh, Ed Wood. Okay. Ed Wood is a very loose biography on a filmmaker named Edward D. Wood Jr., who really didn't know what the hell he was doing. Just loved filmmaking. Was enthusiastic. Didn't really have a lot of talent. But by sheer optimism, managed to make out a few films and get people of note at the time. I mean, Vampire was on TV. I mean, she'd been fired, I think, by the time he worked with her. Tor Johnson, who was a wrestler, and of course, Bela Lugosi, who at that time was his career was kind of done. But the film chronicles his life between, I think, 1952 to 1957-ish, I guess, 56, 57. Plan 9 came out, I think, around that time. It didn't really come out wide until 59, but I think...
Yeah, I think 57 is the official...
Yeah, 57.
Year,
yeah. And really, the movie's just kind of this love letter to the passion of the artist, even when they have no talent. No one can tell you. You just, as Orson Welles tells him in the movie when he runs into him, which probably never happened, but the artist has a vision. You need to see that vision through, no compromising. And so that's what Ed did. He did his thing his way.
Yeah. And it wasn't the best way, from what I could tell. I've never seen any of his movies except for about 45 minutes of Plan 9. And unfortunately, I fell asleep. It had nothing to do with the movie. It was just my sleep schedule since I haven't been working this last week has been so bonkers. But yeah, it's not a movie, but it's like I said at the top of the show, I feel like I'm gonna go back and finish it because it feels like it's one of those absolute musts that you must see, because it's got this iconic occult status almost, kind of like that Manos Hands of Fate movie.
Yeah.
Never seen that either. I feel like I probably should watch that now too.
Yeah, I think since this movie especially, it's become a movie you have to see.
Yeah, see, even Sean knows the legacy. It's a very bad movie.
Yeah.
You said that he was. They even said it in the movie at the end of the movie that he was the worst director of all time. I mean, they're far worse now. I think. But
Yeah.
maybe for his time.
There's a whole lot worse directors than him, and there's a lot worse films than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Sorry, I'm reading what Sean has to say. Sean and his pre-show comments. Yeah, that sounds right. Actually, I like what he says here. Tim Burton is a good director, but he always seemed like kind of an outsider, like Ed Wood was. Maybe not as far as Ed Wood was, but I mean, I don't know how accurate the film Ed Wood is, but if it's anywhere near accuracy, like I think about that scene where the guy watches Glenn or Glenda, and he thinks it's a practical joke.
Yeah, he thinks he thought William Wyler was playing another joke on him or something. He's like, "Oh, this is great. This is funny."
Yeah. I thought that was very telling of what kind of like presence he had in Hollywood, which was almost none. Excuse me. But I don't know. So yeah, Ed Wood. Oh, that's cool. I don't know where you live. That's cool. Anyway, Ed Wood. I stumbled on this on cable. I think in '95. We were talking about. Didn't you get to see it in the theater?
I saw it opening day. I was in college, and I used to go after art class on Fridays. I would go see a movie. I usually got out of school around 11, and I'd go see a matinee. And I went and saw Ed Wood because it just looked great, and I like Tim Burton. Yeah, I was. I saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure at the drive-in in '85 and loved that. Of course, Batman and Beetlejuice, and so this looked interesting. It wasn't getting a lot of attention. Movie. It only played a week, sadly, because when I went and saw it opening day, I was the only one in the theater.
Even in '94, when theaters were a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
And watching it today, I've watched twice this week just because I like it and I want to watch it a couple times, and I've seen it a lot, but I just remember like today watching that, it kind of flashed back to the end where I love the way it ends, where the pans up from the theater as they pull away, and it kind of goes into the miniatures up to the Hollywood Hill, and it goes up into the rain, and then his Ed pops up on the screen and it says Ed Wood, blah, 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 like what happened to everybody. I remember it's like the great music from Howard Shore in that moment. I mean, overall the music's great, but that piece of music right there, it's just, I remember watching that. I remember that moment exactly. It's like I was teleported to 1994 in the theater, watching that, the feeling and everything of that. It's my favorite Tim Burton movie, and it's my favorite Johnny Depp movie, and it's Tim Burton's personal favorite movie of his.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I listen. And it's weird that we've fallen on this one because I've been listening to Joe Dante's podcast a lot lately. I hadn't listened to the podcast until William Friedkin passed away about 3 weeks ago or so, and someone shared his appearance on there, and I've been like obsessed with it because it's called The Movies That Made Me, and they invite filmmakers on to talk about the movies they love, and they just had one of the writers from Ed Wood, Scott Alexander, on there, and almost every other guy who's on the show or woman who's on the show brings up Ed Wood. And they said that movie comes up all the time on our show. People love that movie, especially filmmakers and horror filmmakers. People who work in sci-fi or horror or just film in general. Like everyone, and it's a shame because the movie really, it didn't do well. Like I said, it was in the theaters for a week, but it still won 2 Oscars. Martin Landau won an Oscar for his performance, beat Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction. It was between him and Sam really that year. And Martin took it, and Rick Baker won an Oscar for his makeup on Landau.
Really? Oh,
yeah, to make him look like Bela. So
he looked really good.
It was amazing because, like, I was watching the documentary today, and he said before he even explained, he said, Martin Landau didn't really have the ideal face for Bela Lugosi. And I said, yeah, because Martin's got this very long face, and Bela's kind of round, very round face, and that's exactly what Baker said. He goes. They're just totally different. He goes, and Landau doesn't really look like Bela. He goes, but he wanted to do it. He said, I'll do it for free if I have to. He called Tim and said, I want to do this. I have to do this. Because he was afraid someone would do it and overdo it. He goes, so basically all it was the nose, the cleft chin, and ears. And that's really all he did to make Martin look like Bela.
Yeah, and Martin Landau's got, without the makeup even so, going back to that, is it called Alone in the Dark?
Yeah.
He's got his eyes, and that's one of the things about Lugosi that you always remember, especially from Dracula and the Black Cat, is the eyes, and that was one thing he had going for him.
Martin disappears in the row. I mean, I think that's why he got, because like,
especially when he says "fuck Lugosi," that's one of my favorite things. Or fuck Karloff.
Fuck Karloff. Fuck you. Karloff does not deserve to smell my shit.
When you play Karloff's side, he fucking loses. I love that.
Karloff does that. Limey cocksucker can rot in hell for all I care. I love the dialogue. He says, "Yeah, the limey cocksucker can rot in hell for all I care." And later on, where they're trying to see if the chiropractor can be like Bela, Bill Murray's like, say limey cocksucker.
Oh yeah. In church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bunny Breckinridge, yeah. Bill Murray is another good character in this.
Pull the string.
I love that. Yeah, Martin Landau is the standout. I'm glad he won an award for this. And
as much as I hated seeing Jackson not get it, because I loved Pulp Fiction and I thought Jules Winfield was an amazing performance, a great role. Martin totally deserved it. It was one of those situations where the 2 actors totally deserved it, and only one could win.
Yeah. The only thing I would say that for about Sam Jackson is, I mean, he that's kind of his signature thing, though, is that kind of guy.
But he was nobody when he did. I mean, he had done like Jungle Fever.
Yeah.
That Pulp Fiction was the movie that made his career. It was after that. Yeah. I mean, Jungle Fever gave him a little bit of
Coming to America.
Yeah, but that's what I remembered him from.
Yeah.
But Pulp Fiction was a movie that took him from
he was in Goodfellas.
Obscurity to huge. Yeah, but he gets killed right away.
I know, almost immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of had that because he gets killed in True Romance too the year before.
Yeah. He had little bit parts in a lot of stuff, but yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Bit part actor, and then it was after Pulp Fiction that he did like Die Hard with a Vengeance and Kiss of
My
Death.
favorite Die Hard.
And he just his career blossomed after Pulp Fiction.
Oh. You mentioned Die Hard. I want to make sure everybody knows Seth is not here tonight because he is seeing his Lord and Savior's They Live theatrically. That's why you don't see Seth here tonight. I want to make sure to say that. You say Die Hard, immediately I think of Seth.
Greatest film ever made?
Right. Jurassic. Yeah, that's right. He's in Jurassic Park also. But anyway, yeah. yeah. And then Deep Blue Sea later on, he gets eaten by a shark. He's having one of those moments, those Jules moments where he's doing the speech and then the shark comes. And that's one of the best scenes, if not the best scene at home.
But that's really where the whole Sam Jackson motherfucker, all that, like the I've always said that Sam is like Tarantino's best as far as Tarantino dialogue. No one says it better than Sam Jackson. Like he just is just the perfect actor coupled with Quentin. Just like, to me, Jason Lee for Kevin Smith. I don't think anyone says Kevin's line better than Jason Lee.
I agree with that.
Or
Yeah.
Jeff Anderson. Jeff Anderson's really good
Yeah,
match with him too.
I like Jason Lee a lot, but it's mostly because of Brody.
Yeah.
You know, and then eventually he plays other characters than Brody.
Banky.
Yeah, and he's still just as good. But I've seen Jason Lee in other things. It's just not the same.
No,
Yeah.
My Name Is Earl is only like real big standout.
But that's not like he's a completely different, like lost in that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See, when I saw the Ed Wood for the first time, I believe it was on cable, and I rented it and watched it like 4 or 5 times the weekend after that because I loved it so much. Do you know why it was filmed in black? I mean, shot or whatever in black and white, released in black and white, I should say. I guess.
Well, that was the reason why it was shopped around so much because they wanted it in black and white. And I couldn't see this movie in color.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it would have worked. I think it's so beautiful, and I think that was another appeal to it. There just weren't many black and white movies. The year before,
we had 2 that year.
Well, the year before was Schindler's List, right? Or was that
93? Yeah.
So
93.
you know, maybe that gave them a little bit, but the studios did not want to do it in black and white, and I think they kind of moved it around a bunch. I think Disney's the one that ended up with it. But this really, like they talked about this on the Dante, so it's really amazing that this movie got made because it's about this director who no one really knew bio about him. It's in black and white. It's just quirky. And again, it wasn't successful, but it was, it's still like Tim Burton's highest rated movie. It's
really,
a lot of people think it's his very, very best. A lot of film people, of course, it's about filmmaking. But I think it's just the spirit of the persistence of an artist and the spirit of Ed Wood and the way Johnny Depp plays him is so infectious, and you just love him, even though, like, you know, I don't know if Ed was anything really like that. You know, they said they left out his alcoholism. That's part of why Dolores left him, and it wasn't because he was a transvestite. And he,
I read that was a problem though.
She said she shopped for him. Like it wasn't that big of a deal for her.
Really?
Yeah, but she said it was his alcoholism is what made her leave.
Which ended up killing him too, I believe.
Him and his wife, the Patricia Arquette character, were both alcoholics. Apparently.
What was her name? Something O'Hara or something?
I forget her name. Shit.
I'll look it up. I'm looking at Tim Burton's filmography because I want to see if there is anything. I think this is his best movie.
Oh, it very easily to me his best movie. I can't think of
Big Fish is pretty damn good.
Big Fish is good, but I don't think any of them top Ed Wood.
No, I don't think so either. You got Pee-wee, Batman, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns. Batman Returns. That's my favorite. Mars Attacks was awesome. Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes, Big Fish, Charlie and Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride, Sweeney Todd, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows. It's got to be. And Beetlejuice too, I guess he's a part of that.
There's nothing else like Ed Wood. I mean, there's movies about movie makers and filmmakers, but Ed Wood is its own.
Which you do have a few you wanted to make sure to mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ed Wood is his best movie overall. I love this movie, and I don't know why I was like so like drawn to this movie and seeing it. Like I think a lot of us growing up wanted to make movies, you know. But not many of us took that chance. Like I always wanted to make a movie, but I looked at it as like a very daunting, difficult task. And I was like, I could never do that. You know, even watching this movie and seeing like what he was doing, I was like, I still don't know if I could ever do that. And then there are people like you that actually do it. So
I never thought
Kathy
I could.
O'Hara was his wife's name.
Okay. Yeah, I never thought I'd make movies. It sounded like it's a crazy idea. And then I went to work one day and a guy said, "Hey, they're making this zombie movie downtown and they want extras to play zombies." And it's like, sounds like a fun way to spend your weekend. And the director's email was in the article, so I wrote him offering to maybe do a movie poster for it. And we ended up meeting eventually, but I went down there and was in it. And went to a film festival, Fright Night Film Festival here in town, his first one, and I talked to Mark, the director, and he just said, go do it, man. It was like, and I realized, I was like, and I talked to another guy. I saw a movie at that show called Silence of Isabella, and I was kind of really impressed with this short 45-minute short film called Silence of Isabella, and I contacted the director, and I said, so what did it cost you to make this thing? He goes, the price of the DVD I printed it on. He said it was like he just went to Best Buy, got a camera, and the girl that sold him the camera at Best Buy was a Civil War reenacting actress who'd been doing that her whole life with her family. And his wife, and the actress got together and made this movie over weekends. And I thought, wow, like you could do that. And it just never dawned on me that, I guess I had made movies with my friends in like high school, middle, and college, where I had like, a little camcorder.
Yeah.
And we made like a Scream fan film or a Halloween fan film. And me and my buddies made a Jason film in high school. Nothing. It was, you didn't write a script. You just fucking, hey, I got a hockey mask. Let's make a Jason movie.
Yeah.
They're god awful, but to actually sit there and say, because you didn't take it seriously, because you didn't think no one's going to see this. We're just doing this for fun, shits and giggles. I remember one night we made one in this friend's apartment. We just made it up around his Halloween season, and we just made a little goofy slasher movie for fun, and we're just laughing our asses off the whole night. It was fun. But to, when I got Girl Number 3 and we made that, I was living a dream, and it was hard because my wife was pregnant, and I think Lily was born just around the time we were starting, like 2 or 3. I think she was about 2 or 3 months old, and we were filming the bulk of that movie. And I was torn because I wanted to be there, because I was just a writer, so I didn't have to be there. I wanted to be on set, but I needed to be home with my wife and my kid. So it was kind of this conflicting thing, because I wanted to make a movie my whole life, in many ways. Ever since I saw Reservoir Dogs, like I said, 94, same year this came out. And so here I was, 2008, making a movie. And but yeah, that movie captures that spirit of like, just go out and do it.
Oh, I don't know. I thought he was okay. He wasn't even that big of an influence on the movie, though. So, a couple other movies you have here that you want to suggest to people for your you got to see this. A couple of them I think people have probably seen.
Yeah, some of them have.
Yeah, let's start with
I came up,
one, if you don't mind.
Okay, Day for Night. Probably, maybe my favorite film from Francois Truffaut, one of the great French filmmakers. He stars in it as people who haven't watched Truffaut's films. You may remember him from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He was the French scientist guy who.
Oh, he's actually in it.
Yeah, he's in Close Encounters as a kind of a lead character. He's kind of the opposite of Dreyfus. He's kind of obsessed with it, but he's kind of working with the government and kind of following Dreyfus and all the other people. But Truffaut, this movie is just set on a film, and he plays the director, and it's just kind of behind the scenes of the film with all these different people and all the shit that goes on, the drama. Jacqueline Bisset is in it. It's 1973 film. I can't really give you like plot or anything. It's just the making of a film. So you got like the aging star who's trying to stay relevant, and you got the young star who's trying to make a name for himself, and you got the British actress who's got heat, and they're bringing her on. She's a rising star, but maybe she's got, I can't remember. It's all the like humanity or the behind the scenes stuff of filmmaking. Jean-Pierre Laude is in it, and he was in Truffaut. Maybe Truffaut's most famous movie, The 400 Blows. He was a little kid in that movie, and so here he is. I don't know, in his 20s maybe. I know I've only seen it once, and I saw it last year, and I just loved it. It's I think one of the best films about making a film or filmmaking behind the scenes. Because there's a lot. I made this long list. Of course, there's The Player and Boogie Nights, and there's all kinds. But
Player's awesome.
I tried to pick out ones that maybe a lot of people hadn't seen.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people have seen Day for Night. If people don't know that title, the title stands for when you could shoot film during the day to be nighttime. You just have to, certain things you do. But that doesn't really have anything to do with the plot. But this is one I just thought I'll throw that out because it is a real excellent film. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I think I bought it. I think I bought the Blu-ray. Criterion has it.
I was gonna say I don't think it was streaming anywhere when I looked it up.
I don't know if it's on the Criterion channel right now, but I know they released it. I have the Blu-ray for it.
All right, which one do you want to do next? How about this one?
Either one. Brutal Massacre comedy. I think I brought this one up on the show before. This was a 2007 movie by Stephen Mina, who made the Malevolent movies, the one with the slasher film series, Malevolence, and
there's 3 of them, right?
Benevolence, and I think the last Malevolent 3 or something. Yeah. And he made this.
Are they worth watching?
I liked them, especially the first one. The second one has Michael Biehn in it. But I really liked Malevolence. I saw a lot of Chainsaw and Halloween in it. It's like what I got from Malevolence was that he really knows that genre. It's low budget, but it really, I was really impressed with it. And this was this follow-up to that. And it's a comedy. It's a mockumentary about a Ed Wood type guy, a talentless, B movie horror maker, exploitation maker, played by David Naughton from American Werewolf in London. And he's wanting to get in on the torture porn craze of the early 2000s and make a torture porn movie. And you got Brian O'Halloran from Clerks playing, I think it's like maybe his assistant director, I think. You have Ken Foree, who's part of the crew. I can't remember what his job is. You have the woman who plays Cheryl. I don't know her name, from Evil Dead. And I think she may be his production manager or producer. I'm forgetting. You have the guy who played Mooj from 40 Virgin, I believe. Was that? Yeah, 40 He's the DP.
Yeah.
And then you got Gunnar Hansen in his best role outside of Leatherface.
He looks like Chong.
He loved this role, and they wanted to do a sequel. Unfortunately, he passed away. But he plays Brian O'Halloran's out scouting for a house, like an old farmhouse, like a Texas Chainsaw type house, to film the horror movie in. And he turns around and he runs into Gunnar, who looks like that wild-eyed, huge man in a field jacket, Vietnam veteran. And he's like, "Hey, what? Hey, fucker!" He just keeps saying, "Hey, fucker." He's like, "I'm making a movie and I'm looking at this house. Do you own this house?" He's like, "Yeah, that's mine." And he said, "Would you be interested in letting us make a horror movie?" He goes, "I don't give a fuck." He goes, "Well, can we dress it?" And all he goes, "Fucking tear it down. I don't give a fuck." It's a really funny role. Yeah, it's Dante from Clerks, Brian O'Halloran. I don't know if this is available, but this movie is hilarious. Anyone who's ever made a low budget horror movie, everything in there you've probably experienced. There's parts in this movie I'm like, yep, that happened. This movie came out when I was making Girl Number 3, so
it's on Tubi.
I was living it. All right, Tubi. If you have not seen Brutal Massacre, you guys have to see this. It is a funny ass movie with a great cast of icons from the genre, and Brian O'Halloran from Clerks. He did a horror movie. He did what was that movie? Brian Johnson directed it after Clerks came out.
Is it the clown movie?
Yeah, the clown movie. Vulgar.
Vulgar. That's it.
Vulgar. Yeah. Again, it's just a really fun mockumentary. Very smart. Again, I think Mina is a really smart genre filmmaker, and I wish they'd made the sequel, because the sequel was going to be a lot of B movies and exploitation movies are made in the Philippines. So they were going to go into the Philippines and make an exploitation movie down there. And they were going to hire Gunnar Hansen to be their guide because he had fought in Vietnam and he would know his way around the Philippines, going into the jungle and all that. Yeah, I love that movie. It totally, if you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it is on Tubi, so I might have to watch that one too, though, because movies like this are usually fun. I've never seen this one. I'm a little ashamed of it because it does have quite the reputation.
This is probably my favorite documentary next to Crumb. I think it's probably between those two. This came out in 1999. Yeah, it's got a reputation. Although Joe Dante had never seen it. It came up on their podcast, and his co-host was like, "You've never seen an American movie?" And he's like, "No, I just never saw it." I think a lot of people have seen this one. It's a documentary. So all the other ones are fake on here. This is a real one. This is a real documentary made in 1999, or at least released in 1999. I think it's shot before that. The tall guy on the left is Mark Borchardt. I don't know how you say his name. From I think they're from Wisconsin, and he was a guy like we just talked about, a guy who works, doesn't have a lot of money. Works at a cemetery. I think he has like 2 jobs. Divorced, has a little kid. I think he lives with his parents, and he wants to make a movie. And he's been making this movie called Northwestern for years. Like, it's drama, and he acts in them like Ed Wood. He acts in them. He writes them. He directs them. Produces them, and he gets his friends to make them with him. And the other guy's Mike Shank, who just recently passed away, unfortunately. They've been friends since they were kids, like high school kids. And Mike was kind of a big pothead, so he's kind of brain dead in the movie. But it's such an entertaining movie. And really, again, it's like just, someone who has nothing doing whatever he has to do to make his movie. And he's trying to make in the movie, he's trying to make a movie called Coven, which is coven, like a coven of witches. But he says, I don't like the word coven. It sounds like oven. So he says it's pronounced Coven. And so you just follow him as he's trying to get his movies made. And it's a sweet movie. It's again, he's like someone who doesn't have any money. It's like showing you can get your shit done if you just have a lot of drive and passion. Just like Ed Wood. I mean, this would be a great coupling with Ed Wood because Mark and Ed are in the same way. Mark's more talented, I think. I think Mark had I think he was more of a real film fan and he understood filmmaking. I've seen Coven. It's not bad. It's not.
They actually made the movie?
Yeah, he made it. It came out. I haven't seen it in a long time. So I had it on VHS. It's a short. And I saw him in something else. He popped up in some movie as an actor. And I know he's done some other stuff. But American Movie is just a wonderful watch. Again, if you haven't seen this one, this is a must. Again, it's one of my favorite. I'm
ashamed I have not seen this. I feel like this is one I should have seen a long time ago.
You'll really love it.
It's available to rent, so I may break my chains, my rule of renting.
Or if you can buy it, you'll love it. You'll watch it a couple times.
And I've seen it. I'm a big fan of Tubi. Weren't they in another movie playing themselves?
If they were, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Vudu. I mean, not Tubi, but and I see this for $5 every now and again. So maybe I'll just.
I don't know anyone who has seen it that didn't love it. It's really I would totally I can't see anyone not enjoying it. If you like documentaries at all,
I love documentaries just in general.
You'll love this one then.
Yeah, I can't get enough documentaries sometimes. Well, I'm looking to see how much it is right now on Vudu. And then the next two, we've got this one here, which did they make an American version of this?
Irma Vep, yeah, there's a HBO TV series starring Alicia Vikander, yeah, which is really good. It's
one of those names.
Yeah, Vikander, I think is how.
Yeah, Vic. Yeah,
from Ex Machina
Yeah, that
and
movie was messed up. And she played Lara Croft.
Tomb Raider, yeah, which I loved her Tomb Raider. I thought she was great. I wanted to
Was
see
that
her do it
good?
again.
I just got that recently.
I really liked it. Yeah, and
Those games are really great. It's based off of those.
yeah, and Walton Goggins plays the villain. He's always great.
I love Walter Goggins.
But yeah, I really I love her, and it's a good series. But this is a 1996 film, which it's based on.
Okay.
There's kind of a long history with it because, all right, Irma Vep is like Day for Night. It's behind the scenes of the making of a film in France. Actually has Jean-Pierre Laud again, who played the director or who played that young actor in Day for Night. He's playing the director in this, and he is a kind of a washed-up director who's making this. Trying to make his comeback. In Irma Vep is a character from a 1915 silent film called The Vampires, which is a real film. It's like an 11-hour long. It's kind of a serial, kind of the first crime film ever made in many ways from 1915. You can watch that on YouTube as well. The original film, Les Vampires. And Irma Vep is a character in it, and they're called the vampires, but it's not supernatural. They're just gangsters or kind of criminals. And I think she probably inspired Catwoman because the way she dressed, and she was kind of a cat burglar. This like tight-fitting, full black
leather-looking, almost. What do they call that? I saw some of the images of the movie. I've never seen it.
Yeah,
yeah. She definitely's got that look. I think you've talked about this before. Actually,
I did. I think I brought it up. I don't remember when.
In our chat, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I saw the pictures of her all like skin tight, not leather, but lycra. Not lycra.
This is a fake movie, but Maggie Chung, who's the star, who you see right here on the poster, is playing herself. Hong Kong actress. She's been hired to come to France. She doesn't really speak French. So you're following her coming to France to star in this movie as Irma Vep. And it's just kind of like, of course, she's hot, and like the costume girl has a crush on her, and other people are trying to hit on her. And then you got all the relationships and storylines going on between the cast and crew around her. And then the director going through a kind of a crisis because he just doubts himself, or he doesn't think, he's not happy with anything. This is on Criterion. I think it's on HBO right now too. And it's part of the Criterion collection. And I really loved it. I think it's one of the better movies about being on a film set.
Interesting. Yeah, and then there's that series, which I guess is that like a remake series with Alicia?
It's basically this, but a new one.
Okay. Yeah, I like her as an actress too. So she's this one's quite the looker too. I'm just saying. Here's the fifth one that you have on here.
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, this one is a 1993 movie, and I rented this a blind rental with me and my buddy. I think it came out in 94 on VHS, and I rented it in 94, same year as Ed Wood. And I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's a mockumentary about two filmmakers, a director and a producer team, who've made, like Brutal Massacre, a lot of shitty B movies, awful movies. And they're trying to figure out what they're going to make for their next big movie, and they decide, we're going to adapt the greatest best-selling book of all time, the Bible. So they're making a movie about the Bible with like minimal budget and with minimal talent. And
oh my God.
They bring in, and they hire people who are playing themselves. Like they have Eve Plum from Brady Bunch comes in to play. Maybe she's playing Mary. Maybe, I don't remember. They bring in Lou Ferrigno and Andy Dick to play Cain and Abel.
Andy Dick?
Yeah. So they're supposed to be brothers.
This is free on Vudu, by the way.
Okay. You got to see this one. Who else? Soupy Sales plays Moses. God, I love this movie to death. It is just a fun movie. Just like this would, again, pair this up with Brutal Massacre. Just the mockumentary making of a B movie, and this one again, they're they're making a movie about the Bible. So there's all these little great gags you'll see in the trailer where like they run out of money and they're trying to find money, and so the director's filming, and Soupy Sales is playing Moses, and he comes over the mountain with the 10 Commandments, and the director's like, "Wait a minute, cut!" And they're like, "What?" He goes, "What's he holding in his hands?" And he's got like a 6-pack of Coca-Cola in his hand with the 10 Commandments. He's like, "What the fuck is that?"
There's a picture of that right when you look this up.
And he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And he goes, "Well, we needed money, and Coca-Cola offered us money to put." He goes, "No, fuck that. We can't have." He goes, "Moses can't come off the mountain talking to God with a 6-pack of Coke." And there's all these little things like bad acting and just bad filmmaking, and like the guy who plays Jesus will only he's a method actor, so he'll only respond to Jesus, so. He's like doing an interview with the documentary crew, and the AD's like behind him going, hey, John, they need you on set. John. He's like, Jesus. He goes, yes. He won't respond to John. Yeah. So it's just, I love the movie. It was one of those blind rents in the 90s when I would just go to VHS store, video store, and rent whatever looked interesting. And it's not one I hear a lot about and people have seen, but I'd
never heard of it before.
It's one of my favorites of the 90s as far as indie films go.
Yeah. Interesting. It sounds funny.
Like, Spinal Tap type stuff,
Yeah.
So.
So there's 5 films to check out. Day for Night, which is Criterion, right?
Yeah.
Little Massacre, which is on Tubi. American Movie you'd have to rent. This one is free on Vudu, so kind of like Tubi. It didn't have commercials. And then Irma Veep. Vep. Is it Veep or Vep?
It's Vep.
Okay. And that is on HBO. And then there's a new series.
Yep, just started this year, I think.
Yeah, because when I looked it up to try to get a different image for that, I downloaded that. I was like, hey, that's a different girl.
Yeah.
And I looked closer. I was like, I know who she is. That's a completely different girl. Anyway, so check those out if you would like to. Come highly recommended by Nathan. Okay, so back to Ed Wood. Do you have your notes that you want to go through?
I didn't take any notes. I just we could just wing it.
Kind of BS about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the things you. I mean, because both of us, and probably for different reasons. I mean, I do like Johnny Depp quite a bit, but a lot of it is the characters that surround him in the movie, like Vinny from Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
I was like, and I saw him in the movie back then. I was like, oh my god, where'd he go? He's all of a sudden in this. But like, and Bill Murray's role as Bunny is so like, I love when he goes down to Mexico and he comes back and he tells the whole story about Mexico.
Yeah.
But like when they're getting, Rachel mentioned one of the scenes that I really like when they're getting baptized. Do you reject Satan and all of these?
Sure. How do you do it? How do you get all your friends to get baptized to make a monster movie? Yeah, he's got so many great lines. Yeah, the sure one always cracks me up, just the way he delivers it. And I like when he's trying to decide what makeup he wants to wear. People always loved me when I wore glitter, and he's like,
yeah,
and antennae.
I need the antennae. Yeah,
antennae. Yeah.
It is amazing that he's able to get all his friends to help him do this stuff. Like even when they're trying to get investors. Speaking of, one of the investors who gave him $300 was Mark Landau's daughter, Juliette Landau.
Yeah,
she was pretty cool seeing her in that because she's also in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Another cool thing that hit me I didn't think about was I read that he cast her in Buffy after seeing this movie.
Yeah, and she was a vampire, and that was kind of cool.
But my second favorite Johnny Depp movie is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh my god, that's my favorite Johnny Depp movie. Yeah, and I can quote that movie line for line.
and that means that we have two actors who play Hunter S. Thompson in this movie because Bill Murray played him and
Oh, that's right, Buffalo Rome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like right in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I think Buffalo Rome was like early 80s, and then
about 4 years later he did Fear and Loathing. Of course, I was a big fan of that. That's like one of my favorite books, Hunters from Louisville.
I read that book in high school, and then like right before I went to basic training, that came out, and I'm like, I have got to see this before I go. And so I got it and loved it. I've seen it so many times. And the commentary on the is that a Criterion?
That's a Criterion release too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the commentary with Hunter S. Thompson's so fucking bonkers. I love that movie and the book.
How was that one? It was like, how do you feel about what Johnny Depp? He goes, I like being played by heartthrobs, preferably short ones.
Yeah. Johnny Depp did a good job, though.
Yeah, he did. I think Bill played Hunter closer to how Hunter really is, but Johnny's really good at taking pieces and exaggerating them because Ed Wood is an amalgamation. Like I like when Johnny talks about what his inspiration. Of course, like Jack Sparrow was Keith Richards.
Right.
He's doing Keith Richards, and then like what he say when he's doing. We talked about Sleepy Hollow, and we're going to do Sleepy Hollow, I guess, next week.
Mm-hmm.
And he said I played him Ichabod like a prepubescent 13-year-old girl. That was his idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was a headless horseman.
Yeah.
So I just when I watch this movie, Johnny just stands out because of his. There's just this infectiousness, and the thing is, like Johnny was apparently really depressed at this time when he made this movie, and they said he showed up
when his star was already starting to fade after 21 Jump Street, and
he had just done,
if I remember correctly.
I think he just done like Edward Scissorhands.
Well, he did his cameo in Freddy's Dead. Let's not forget.
Maybe Gilbert Grape came out right before this.
It was like 19, but like commercially, I don't think Johnny Depp was really going anywhere at the time,
the reason he was depressed is because he just broke up with Winona Ryder.
Oh, he had to change that tattoo.
Yeah, to Wino Forever. Is that what?
Yeah, Wino Forever. Yeah.
But yeah, they said he was really heartbroken, and this movie.
I would be too. She's gorgeous.
This movie kind of helped him, like he got him through because he really loved this part in this film.
Yeah, but I still don't think he was that big of a star until after. It's because of Fear and Loathing. After that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the movie it skyrocketed him really was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
He was known and he was working, but it was Pirates of the Caribbean that made him a megastar. He had
I forgot about Benny and June.
Yeah, Benny and June, Cry Baby, Gilbert Grape,
Crybaby.
Edward Scissorhands. Because he liked because Johnny never wanted to be the heartthrob that he became. He was working so hard against it, like he wanted to get off of 21 Jump Street because it was turning him the Tiger Beat guy, and he didn't want to do that. That's why they say, the first movie he does after 21 Jump Street is a John Waters movie. It's like that's a big risk to go with John Waters.
And popular too back then.
Yeah. And then he works with Tim again and again, and he and Tim just really seem to be perfect for each other.
Yeah, it's funny because 3 out of the 4 Tim Burton movies that we chose have Johnny Depp in them. And the other one we didn't choose has Winona Ryder. But she's in 2 of them, but still.
Yeah, she's in Edward Scissorhands.
I'm looking at his filmography, and I forgot about a few things because Donnie Brasco is really good. What's Eating Gilbert Grape, of course, is fantastic.
One I remember really liking, I haven't watched in a long time, was Nick of Time.
I don't think I've seen that one.
With Christopher Walken. That was a good movie.
95. Oh, no, I've seen that, yeah. I just needed to see the poster. You know how that goes.
They kidnap his daughter, and they're holding her. Yeah.
Oh, he was in Blow in 2001, From Hell. And Pirates came right after that.
He was the only good thing about Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, he was. His character, yeah. Especially towards the end.
Yeah.
he loses his sight.
I love him. I really do. He's another
Yeah, you too.
Kentucky boy. I've made a bunch of movies in his hometown.
Yeah, and his energy in Ed Wood is very, like I think you said, very optimistic.
It's just like complete optimism. Like,
Yeah,
just,
which
hey, it's this big so hey.
always got that grin. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
like, hey, we don't have a permit. Run. And
He always sounds like he's talking from a grin.
Yeah.
Too,
Yeah, he's always, I think because he probably has false teeth in because of the
oh my God.
Yeah. Because Ed Wood lost his teeth in World War.
Yeah.
Was he in World War II or Korea? I can't remember what he said.
No, it had to be World War II because Korea was right around.
Yeah, he was already out by Korea. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
think
World War
II. About 30 when Glenn or Glenda was being made. So yeah, he says WW2.
From what because I think they said somebody who fought with him said, he did a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and he like when they bring the butt of the gun up and somebody knocked one of the. I guess he was in Japan. I guess he was in the Pacific. I think
I got hit with the buttstock of a M16 when I was on basic training. Knocked a tooth out.
That's what happened to him.
Yeah, I got mine. Well, it was only one, but I got it fixed. So he did too, I guess.
Yep. Lost my pearlies in the war.
Yeah, I like that scene when he reveals it to the kids when Bella's playing Dracula at the door. I think it's for Halloween or something like that.
Yeah.
And they mentioned he doesn't have fangs because Dracula never had fangs before that anyway. Because I believe that Christopher Lee was the first one, which didn't come till 1958. So little issue there, but no. Johnny Depp takes his teeth out. What about these? I like that scene. Yeah.
Those aren't real.
This movie though, like completely, like Johnny Depp's in almost every scene.
Yeah.
Of the movie, so he does carry the movie, but like his acting with his co-stars, especially Lugosi. I mean, Landau's Lugosi. God, he does kind of steal the show in a way. I mean, Johnny Depp's the star, but man, this is I don't remember ever seeing Martin Landau and everything. And at the time, I was 14, 15 years old. I loved 31's Dracula, and this was just great seeing somebody portray Lugosi. And I didn't know anything about Lugosi at the time. He played Dracula, and he was in The Black Cat and a few other movies. But like when my favorite scene of the whole movie is that whole thing with Karloff. I can't help it. It's so funny. It made me laugh so hard.
Karloff? Yeah. I mean, almost every line he has is gold. Like when he gets in the water and he's like, "It's cold. God damn, it's cold." And he goes, "It'll warm up as you get in." He goes, "Fuck you. Get out of here."
Get out of here. Yeah. It's a swig of whiskey goes through it.
Let's shoot this fucker.
Yeah.
And just like all the little things, like when they're sitting at the table with Criswell and he's like, "Bela, do you want some wine?" "I never drink wine." Like, like it's hey, no one gives two fucks for Bela. Or when they get the little contraption with the electric, goes, "No way, I'm getting near that goddamn thing. One of them burned me on some other movie is on."
Yeah.
It's like so, and Bela's son said that was the only problem he had with the movie is that his dad would never curse like that.
Oh, really?
He said my dad was very gentleman and he would never talk like that. And people who knew him confirmed that. They said Bela wouldn't have spoken that way. He's very gentleman.
And I think you mentioned that he'd never had a problem with Karloff that either.
Yeah, they said they were actually really good friends.
Yeah. Which it adds to the comedy of the movie.
Yeah,
that whole scene with Carl, because like I would assume back in the day, just like things like Star Wars versus Star Trek or whatever, people always put things against each other, like probably those two, Freddy versus Jason and all this different stuff. But like I guess they were in a lot of movies together, really.
Yeah, they did a lot together. If they had a beef, like Bela would have never agreed to play his second, they wouldn't have done it. They did so many movies together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another reason I liked, I didn't even think about it, but one of Tim Burton's interests in making this movie was that he saw a lot of Ed in him in terms of he loved Ed and Bela's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it reminded me of Vincent Price because when Tim made Vincent, his short film in 1982. Price narrated it, and it started a friendship with Price. So
up to his death, yeah.
He felt it was it was very it mirrored his relationship with Vincent. They had a close relationship up to Vincent's passing, and Vincent's last movie was Edward Scissorhands. So he saw a lot of parallels with him and Ed and Bela and Vincent. So I thought that was really cool. So I think that's probably also why the movie's one of Tim's favorites, because it was kind of
for him in a way.
His story too. Like you said, he's an outsider. He was Tim. Was working for Disney, an animator, very quirky, original type guy. I really like Tim Burton. I know he's in the last 20 years, people have kind of said, "Oh, he has like." I will say, I got really tired of him remaking every fairy tale movie, every horror-based thing. Okay, I miss him doing something that hasn't been done yet. But when he did do some things, like I think people forget. Like I enjoyed Dark Shadows.
I actually did too. It was better than I expected.
Yeah, people hated it. Like I thought it was fun. I
didn't like the show. My brother watched it constantly, all like 1,000 episodes. And so going in, I was like, I'm not going to like this, but it was fun. It was different.
Big Eyes was great. I thought Big Eyes was a great movie.
Which one?
Big Eyes. One by the artist. It's a good one. Like you brought up Big Fish.
I love Big Fish.
And then I love Sleepy Hollow, which we're going to talk about, which doesn't get talked a lot about, but I think Sleepy Hollow it's just a really good movie. Script from Kevin Andrew Walker, who had just written like 7 and 8 millimeter. So I think Tim has done I think he's still got it. In the Wednesday show was great. To me it was like a return to form. Of course he's going to do Addams Family eventually, kind of thing.
Yeah, that seems like it's right up his alley.
Yeah, and I loved Frankenweenie. My daughter loved that movie, and she always had her little stuffed Frankenweenie, and that movie's got a lot of place in my heart because my daughter just adored that, and I loved it with her too. And she even went as Frankenweenie for Halloween one year. She's probably like
really?
4 or 5. Yeah, we made her a costume, painted her face up. So yeah, I think this movie, just everything about it, the lighting, the black and white cinematography, the filmmaking in it, and Howard Shore's score. I know if Seth were on here, he'd talk about this score, which is so wonderful. It's one of the only movies it's the first movie that Danny Elfman didn't compose. I did being too goth. But
it's my favorite Batman movie.
Howard Shore's
Big Fish.
Howard Shore's score. They use the I don't know what the instrument is that they use. I can't remember. Shit, there's a documentary on the DVD about that instrument that makes that noise, which is just kind of like moving your hands through air.
I know the instrument you're talking about. Yeah, my in-laws had one or something. I saw my wife playing with one day.
But like the music was very Shore said at that time jazz music was really big, and Cuban music. So you have that in there. I just love this movie from the fucking opening. Like I said, with Jeffrey Jones playing Criswell and doing that, coming out. Like you start in on that house, there's a storm, you go in like a miniature, and then you go in through the window, and there he is in the coffin, and he does a kind of a mimicking of the opening of Not Playing 9. Can your heart withstand the true story of Edward D. Wood Jr.? Closes it, and then the title comes up, and like the cemetery with the names on it, and the stop motion animation octopus tentacle coming out of the water, and the flying saucers and everything.
It really gets you in the mood for for the movie. You know,
lightning striking and everything.
it's
It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite openings to a movie.
yeah. When I was watching it, I was like, how could you not want to watch this movie after watching the first couple minutes of it? You know, it reminds me of like writing scary stories when I was younger. You know, you open on a dark house, the moon is bright. You know, that's what it reminded me of. And then you get Jeffrey Jones popping out of a coffin.
It's like Dana Gould, I think it was, who said, like, watching that movie was like, someone made this movie for me. Like, this is
Yeah.
me. Like, and I think a lot of, especially the monster kids, which Dana is, probably did like, wow, I can't believe there's an Ed Wood movie. And there's got spaceships and flying saucers and aliens and monsters and Bela Lugosi and again, Martin Landau's performance is just, he's got it down so well. He learned Hungarian, so he wanted to be as accurate. But a guy who's from Hungary told him, like, that was the best I've ever seen. He goes, and the reason is because you're trying not to do Hungarian. He goes, that's the trick. Because Bela was trying not to have that accent because that accent held him back. He would have been a bigger actor because they said he was a hell of an actor. But because of his accent, he couldn't get work in America. They typecast him because, you know, they're not going to cast him in, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird or something. You know, like or
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind because he's Hungarian. He can't lose.
Yeah, he's got that thick accent. He doesn't sound American at all.
You know, he's a handsome guy and he was a good actor, but because of that accent, you know, it's kind of like, I'm not saying he's not a great actor, but I remember when I saw like JCVD, you know, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where he plays himself,
mm-hmm.
and it's in French, you know, because he spoke French,
yeah.
And I'm watching like, he's not that bad when he's speaking his language.
Well, yeah,
right? I mean, he's good. Like when you try to get him to speak English in those movies, it was awkward. It was weird. It just didn't sound right. But when in that movie, of course, he's had 20 years in the business at that point, making that movie, or 25 years it was. But I was like, I wonder how good Jean-Claude Van Damme would have been if he'd made films in France through his whole career. Like, would we have a different opinion of his abilities? And that movie kind of turned me around. So sometimes it is, if you don't speak English well, you know, like Schwarzenegger, you know, was able to do well, and he got better and better and better.
Yeah, but Schwarzenegger, a whole different breed. He was like the hardest worker for everything. He would have been the best at everything. You know, because some of his earlier stuff, like Hercules, and he was on some TV show. He wasn't very good, and part of it probably was the accent. But yeah, I think I know what you mean. But I mean Hercules. I want to call him Hercules, but Schwarzenegger, man, he was probably the hardest working person of all time, really. But yeah, even so, there are some, like, he barely says anything in Terminator, you know, like, and I wonder if that has anything to do with either the performance or the way it was written or his accent. Yeah, I've always wondered that about that role, because that was very early, and even Conan the Barbarian, he doesn't say much.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. But yeah, I know what you mean. Poor Lugosi. At least he got a lot of good roles early on, and they were mostly in horror movies, of course. But a lot of it had to do with it. I'm sure his accent. I love his accent though.
Yeah.
You know, and Lando does pull it off pretty well.
Yeah, this is something I've been talking about, you know, this week, and I don't know, like you asked the question on the Horror Sunday about what's the most recognized horror movie of all time, and
yeah,
everyone was saying Halloween, and I said Dracula, and I got a lot of people saying no, and I had some people today were like, I don't think people know Dracula or think of that movie, or like, how is that possible? I can't get my head around. People don't think that Dracula is a known film.
I think it's generational. I honestly do.
But still generational. Like, Nick Cage just played Bela Lugosi's Dracula this year.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's doing Bela Lugosi.
But it also flopped pretty hard.
It flopped, but it's like, we got 2 Dracula movies this year.
That flopped too, though.
It flopped, but it's like, but people know who Dracula is.
Well, yeah, Dracula's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
125 years.
Because I
But
knew who Dracula was as a child,
when
as
I
a
was a kid,
young,
they had
young
Dracula
child.
action figures
The
like what was
Remco, yeah,
yeah,
the
I had
Remco.
those, and I knew who Dracula was, the Halloween costumes and all that
I
stuff.
was Dracula like from age 5 through 8, for Halloween,
I was Dracula as late as 22, I think.
and and I'm like every Halloween there was Bela Lugosi's face
Mhm.
on merchandise and
Well, that's the other
wall
thing.
decor.
They don't show those movies like they used to. Like when
Well, the thing,
cable's kind of gone now, but like you know how hard it is to find those movies anymore,
well,
especially the old ones.
I didn't even see Dracula the movie until I was probably a teenager or like in
Well,
my preteen.
think about
But I knew
spooky
who he
season.
was. Yeah,
Think about like that. I can't remember what channel it is offhand, but they do all the horror movies 24 hours a day. It's an AMC Fear Fest or something like that. Think about the movies they show. They're showing Jason and Halloween and all that stuff, and it's always a big build up to Halloween. And I can remember that back when I was 10 or 11. Like I remember, I think it was USA was the channel, but they were building up, and then like every day they were building to showing Halloween on Halloween, because that's how I saw Halloween 3.
yeah.
I had never seen it before at that point. And I think it was like 1990. And so I think Michael Myers, the reason I asked this, because I keep thinking that I have this, I don't know if it's a theory, but like I feel like Halloween is, I've said it before, the face of horror, because even the normies know about it. Like people. I when I was working at Home Depot, I'd hear the Halloween ringtone go off in October everywhere. It's like Jesus.
I think
You don't hear
Halloween
Swan Lake going off though,
Halloween does
unless you're
Hall-
me, because I have that one.
Halloween has an edge because there aren't that many Halloween based films.
That's true.
It's kind of like every Christmas we're going to see A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, Christmas
Well, and
Vacation,
just
Home
like John
Alone.
Carpenter said when he made Halloween, I can't believe this title's never been made before.
Yeah, so
You
every
know?
Halloween you're going to see the Halloween movies. They're going to
Yeah.
play on something and they're going to be out there. And again, the music is so iconic. But to me, I felt like, because my argument was that Count Dracula worldwide uh, is to me as famous as Superman and Darth Vader and Mickey Mouse. Like he's up there. Like I don't put Michael Myers in that category. I think there's still a lot of people, older people who don't watch horror movies, who don't know all that shit, who don't know who Michael Myers is. And to this day, you wear a Michael Myers mask on Halloween, people go, hey,
Yeah.
Jason, and vice versa. So I don't consider, but like I look at Dracula and I think vampires are one of the very most famous known monsters there are in pop culture. And who's the most famous vampire? It's Dracula. And who's the most famous Dracula? It's Bela Lugosi. Even if you don't know his name, you know his face.
I mean, they
You know
based
that
the look
costume.
on that costume for
You know that
decades. Yeah.
you know that costume, and you know that accent, that voice. I am Dracula, suck your blood. All that. Even like to the point where he didn't even say something like blood. It's like
I want to suck your
I
blood. Yeah,
want to
that was.
suck your blood. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all Bela. And so I'm like, where like, and people are saying I don't think people know that movie or know him that much anymore. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like he's such, to me, he's ingrained in pop culture like Marilyn Monroe or James Dean or Humphrey Bogart. And I mean, I know young people out there don't know everything about that stuff, but like I remember, like I said, when I was a kid, I'd never seen a Marilyn Monroe movie, but I knew who fucking Marilyn Monroe was. I knew who James Dean was. I knew who Humphrey Bogart was. I knew who James Cagney was. I knew who the Three Stooges were.
And they
Long
were also
before I
still
saw any of
making
those movies.
songs and stuff about some of these characters.
Yeah, I knew Charlie Chaplin was. And I didn't see all these films, but they were so much part of pop culture.
I thought Charlie Chaplin and Hitler were the same person. When I was a kid.
But I just like, is it really that this new generation doesn't know these people? Is it really gotten to that?
I think there's a lack of availability. Dracula's not popular. I mean, Halloween, we just got 3 movies, and they pump out a new. I know Dracula. They made 2 movies this year, but it's not. I don't know. Michael Myers is always Michael
Well,
Myers. It's
Michael's up there, but
not to
like
mention you walk in Spirit. The first thing I saw the other day was a big ass Halloween display. Halloween the films display.
if we're gonna go off of what, because a lot of people's argument is like the youth today don't know, and I'm like, well, the
Mhm.
youth today, if we're going off of what they think, then maybe Saw is the most famous, or The Conjuring is the most famous, or Paranormal Activity. Like that's what they've grown up with. But no one's going to say that. They're going to say, well, Michael Myers, because that's from our youth. You know, Jason's from our youth. But I mean, for young people, are Jigsaw and Annabelle just as famous and known as Michael Myers and Freddy? Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I was a couple years ago. I was dating somebody 16 years younger than me, and when she found out I was into horror, she's like, "I can watch anything, but I can't. Don't show me The Nun." I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "Shut up." That's not even a good horror movie. It's barely a horror movie.
Don't worry, I'm
When
never
did I
gonna.
ask that
I
question?
will
I
never
wanna
put
look at
on
the
the
comments.
Nun.
I can't remember when I asked that question.
I was just, I agree.
Oh my
Like,
god, there's 377 comments.
and yeah, I guess Halloween, but I still don't think that people over a certain age,
The
the
yeah, the
majority, the
question
majority don't know who they
the
are.
question was, what do you think is the most well-known horror film of all time? So that was the question. I put John Carpenter's Halloween, Silence of the Lambs, Halloween Texas Chainsaw, Brian Enright, of course, always the Joker says Rob Zombie's Halloween. You said Dracula, Frankenstein. See, you think that the Universal cycle of films would have this legendary presence. You know what I'm saying? Like because they are like
They
you're right.
represented,
Everybody knows those monsters.
they represented horror.
Dracula wears a cape because of Lugosi. Really, I mean, Gary Oldman's didn't. He looked weird.
I
I
mean,
love his Dracula, but he looked very strange.
to me, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman
Where's
are
the Exorcist in all this? How
the
is the Exorcist not?
icons.
You know?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of hard to gauge, but I really feel like if you walked up to, um, 10 people on the street of various ages, and you said, "Do you know who Count Dracula is?"
Mm-hmm.
I think you get more yeses than "Do you know
Oh
who
yeah,
Michael Myers is?"
yeah, for
Do you
sure.
know Do you know who Van Helsing is versus Do you know who Donald
Dr.
Loomis is?
Loomis. Yeah.
Yeah, or Dr. Loomis. Um, I think the most famous thing about Halloween is Jamie Lee Curtis. She's without a doubt the most famous heroine, probably.
Oh yeah, she's the original scream queen, if you will. I'm seeing a lot of Frankenstein's in this.
Frankenstein's up. I mean, and it's the oldest.
Yeah, most
Out
of
of
them are
the,
Halloween, but I'm seeing a lot of Frankenstein's on here, more than Dracula, unfortunately.
but
But
like Boris and Bela,
Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi's iconography from their images alone,
they were
they
everywhere.
were what the movie monsters were. Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and in Christopher Lee again couldn't touch that. Even in the 50s and 60s.
As good as they were, they've never topped
No,
as far as
you
legacy.
never saw Christopher Lee on a stamp. I'm just saying, you know. I have all those stamps, by the way. I bought those when they
Universal.
came out. Yeah, I bought a bunch of them. Had to.
So to see a movie with an
Hey,
actor,
Psycho. All right.
Psycho. Um, but yeah, and again, I said, yeah, does a mass killer really represent the genre more than the greatest vampire of all time? Like, I don't know.
Well, it kind of goes back to that thing where
and there-
most people love slashers too, though.
Yeah.
Like slashers seem to be That's a good question I should ask too. What's your favorite subgenre of horror?
But I also brought up the fact that Dracula's appeared in 200 plus
Yeah, that's wild.
horror movies, and he's been in cartoons and commercials and TV shows.
The Batman movie, like I should.
Yeah, like
It's actually pretty good.
Dracula's always there, and there's been multiple Dracula movies over the last how many years? Yeah,
It seems like there's one a year, honestly. At least some kind of Dracula movie.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I just figured they were just standards, and now like a lot of people are like, I don't think people. And I'm like, I don't think. I'm not saying people have seen 1931 Dracula on in a
Just
huge.
Dracula in general, I guess.
The character of Dracula to me is again world famous compared to some of the others that people are throwing out there.
There's a lot of Jaws on here too. That's good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The Shining, I've seen a lot of The Shining too. I mean, it's kind of a well-rounded. Some of these questions the answers are kind of well-rounded for the most part. There's a lot of the Exorcist. There's a lot of those. Silence of the Lambs. I'm glad to see that on there
But
too.
I will say in support of these answers, these movies from the 70s and 80s, is that often when I hear people online post like what's the best film horror movie ever made or what's your favorite horror movie or what's the greatest whatever, you rarely ever see anyone say Dracula or Frankenstein or you know, Phantom of the Opera or like it's like in many ways Lon Chaney, Boris, Basil Rathbone, Claude Rains, Bela, Lon Chaney Jr., Vincent Price even are starting to become Count Chocula. I brought that up. Yeah, he's got his own fucking cereal. Like and it's still in production. No one like Count Chocula's always there.
Yeah, Frankenberry too.
So how I just it just doesn't make any sense to me that there would be a generation who have no idea who Count Dracula is.
I mean, we are getting to being almost 100
Street.
years old too. You know,
Sesame Street, the Count.
The Count. I've only seen Elm Street on here twice.
Elm Street, I just don't think I mean, Elm Street is my favorite horror film. I don't know. I can't say it's the most well-known horror movie.
No. You'd think people would know Freddy pretty well. I mean, he's the only one who could talk. You know.
Well, I even talked about how like somebody talked about Halloween's always been big. I was like, nah. I think because the weird thing about Halloween is Michael Myers disappeared at the height of the slasher boom.
Yeah.
From 1981 to 1988.
Yep.
Like there was no Michael Myers, but that's when everything else blew up.
That's when you got 4 Elm Street movies, like 6 Friday the 13th. You know, yeah. I mean,
and when he came back in 88, it was a big deal. And then 89 kind of like dead again. And then it was another 5-6 years before part 6 came out.
Yeah.
And then it kind of died again, and then it was reinvigorated 2 years
and 4 years, yeah.
Scream, and then Resurrection kind of
killed it again. They didn't shit out Halloween movies the way they shit out Friday the 13th movies, or Elm Street movies for that matter.
So I think Halloween has really.
Yep, here's a Nosferatu.
The David Gordon Green movies, I think, if anything, maybe could be a result of why Halloween's become so big is because we've got like whereas all the others are gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we're talking about this, but it would.
I don't know.
I know I got on to Bela Lugosi because I mean, again, this movie is about Bela, and not it.
This guy says Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Get out of here.
Not yet.
Samuel Wang. Get out of here. Yeah, it's Night of the Living Dead. That one's. I'm not surprised that doesn't get brought up. There's a couple there. It's Dracula sprinkled throughout this, but I don't know. I woke up the other day and just thought of that. I was like, I'm curious. Like it popped in my head. But I told the story in our chat. But the other day I went to this restaurant with my friend Rachel, and we were kind of hanging out outside just chatting. And this girl that worked at the restaurant, she had black hair, very gothic looking girl. And I said to Rachel, I was like, I bet she's into horror movies. And she's like, why would you say that? I was like, let me find out. So I asked the girl, I was like, do you like horror movies? And she's like, oh, yeah, but I like the older stuff. And I was like, how old are you? And she's like, I'm 20. I'm like, okay, what's the older stuff? She said, oh, like Chucky. I'm like, oh, the older stuff.
Oh, man.
Stuff
when I was in middle school.
Yeah, I was 8 when the first Child's Play came out. So I'm guessing if she's going that's old to her. Whew. Well, she could be talking about the Curse of Chucky, which came out in 2013 when she was 10. Oh. I'd like to see a high-grade Covenant with the vampire movie based on the novel by this person. Children of the Vampire and Lord of the Vampires, The Diaries. I've never heard of any of that. Sounds cool. And Rachel's had that. If you've read them, do some reviews for us. How about that? All right. So, yeah, we got way sidetracked. It's a good conversation starter. That's why I put it up there. I don't think there's really, well, there are wrong answers. One guy's was like Killer Pussy. But like when you talk about classics,
he waited all day to talk about that movie.
Dracula is an absolute right answer. I think Halloween is a right answer at this point.
I do. If you were to say top 5, I think Dracula and Halloween are definitely on there. I think Frankenstein's on there. I think Jaws is on there.
Exorcist has to be on there.
And Exorcist,
it's got that reputation as the scariest movie of all time.
Exorcist or Friday the 13th, because I think Friday the 13th really became. I've said this before. I think Jason became the face of horror for a long time because that hockey mask became so iconic. It was everywhere. Every Halloween,
easy to come by too.
The became part of the genre. So, to me, Jason. And again, like you talked about, there were like 8 movies in the 80s, just every fucking year. About
only 2 years without a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, and Freddy had that boom after Dream Warriors, but that was kind of.
I don't think Freddy's ever going to be as popular as those two.
No, because he came later than them, and a lot of the horror fans didn't like that because he was different. It was fantasy based, and Freddy became. The reason I think Michael and Halloween has lasted is because Michael was never a joke. Freddy and Jason became a joke, and I don't know if they've ever fully recovered from it. Whereas Michael, they've never made him the butt of the joke, and the closest they ever came was Resurrection with the whole Busta Rhymes thing.
Dangertainment.
But Michael has always been handled with seriousness.
Well, that's because of their stewardship. Yeah, the Akkads. Yeah, they won't let anybody make a joke out of Michael Myers. No.
And as long as once you're not afraid of the boogeyman, once you're not afraid of them, it's hard to make people afraid. So people just were no longer afraid of Freddy. They were no longer afraid of Jason. They were rooting for them. And there was like you couldn't go backwards. And I think Wes kind of got close to bringing Freddy back to being scary, a new nightmare, but people just rejected that movie because it wasn't the original stuff. And Jason, I thought the remake was good, and I thought they made Jason scary again, and people didn't like that one.
People didn't like that. Yep.
I mean, really, did you like Jason X more than the remake?
I know, right? I'm not a fan. All right, I'm gonna put this up just for shits and grins. But Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. What's the question I should ask? I'm gonna put it up with who do you think's more popular?
I don't know. It's because both fan bases are rabid about it.
Yeah.
But I think the Friday fans are more rabid, honestly, from just my experience with horror fans.
Who do you think is more popular? Is what I'm gonna put.
But the thing is that Michael's been in the public eye more than any of them because of these David Gordon Green movies.
Yeah, lately especially. No matter what fan film comes out, you know it's going to be a studio film as far as exposure goes.
Now, Friday's been running the fan film world.
Oh yeah, I have not seen a good Halloween fan film that I can remember.
Well, Halloween Night, I liked that one.
Oh yeah, the Stefano. How do you say his name?
Yeah,
Stefano. Is that? Yeah, he was a nice guy too.
Yeah,
that was a good one. Yeah. Damn, I forgot about. I have that actually. He sent me a copy. I'll send you a copy. Anyway, oh, of course. No, she's not that popular. Killer Pussy was a Japanese horror movie with a limited region 1 release. Why am I not surprised that you've seen that? Corey Wing.
I love Corey Wing.
Also more in the public eye because of lengthy rights issue. Yeah, Friday the 13th, man.
That video game was popular
That
though.
video game is actually really cool. Now they got a Texas Chainsaw one that looks very interesting. Let's put it that way.
And
Okay.
anything else for the Ed Wood?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's
Um,
go back to Ed Wood.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean I love the movie. There's so much about it that I think I watched it yesterday with like a continuous grin. You know, it's one of those movies that just makes it's a delight to watch. You know, my daughter kept coming in and watching it a little bit with me. She's like, "Why are you smiling?" I was like, "I just love this movie. I don't know why. It's just one of those movies that makes me happy. It made my whole day yesterday. You know, like because I watched it early in the morning. I love it.
yeah.
I can't recommend it enough. I actually I bought it on Vudu. What the like the second I saw it was on, they do $5 sales on Vudu for digital copies. And when I saw that pop up, I was like, buy immediately because I have it on DVD, you know, or maybe even a Blu-ray. Oh shit! People have already voted. Oh, it's 6-5, Jason, right now. That was fast.
I imagine Jason will win. Just because I just between those two Jason fans, they people love their Jason.
Yeah, they sure do. I mean, I do too. We do too. All of us, the horse and we love both of them.
Yeah, they're sure fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Who do you like better?
I'm a Myers guy. I'm a Halloween fan,
Yeah.
so I like Myers, and I don't. There would be no Jason without him. So it's kind of like Joe Dante. He was like, what was it the other day? They asked Joe, which one do you pick over this? And it was like a classic and a later movie that was obviously inspired by that. I can't remember what the two movies were, but Joe's like, can't have one without the other. And so that was his answer. Like, you can't have Jason without Halloween. So,
No, you can't. Sean Cunningham, as I've said 1,000 times, blatantly said he ripped off Halloween. It's 10-10 now. This is going to be fun to watch. If you follow the Horror Syndicate on Facebook, go vote. All you need to use is a heart emoji or a ha 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 laugh emoji.
I'm just gonna go on there and say Freddy.
Yeah, I could have added Freddy, but like I don't want to see Freddy lose, and I know he will. Unfortunately, even though I still think my personal favorite. I know Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, Seth. If you watch this, is probably one of the most iconic films ever. But I still think Elm Street's better, in my opinion. So shoot me if you must.
You need to go on there and put pictures, like put Corey Cunningham as Jason, as Michael,
Oh, jeez.
and Roy's Jason, and the Jackie Earle Haley
Mr.
Freddy.
Imposter's better. Yeah. Jackie Earle, he was an imposter, but Corey Cunningham actually is funny. I saw you tagged me in that post about Dracula, the Halloween thing. You used Corey Cunningham's picture in that post from Halloween Ends. And I looked, I was like, I wonder if he did that on purpose. Because I looked, the way you notice is the wallpaper behind him coming down the stairs. You know that.
Yeah.
Michael didn't go up the stairs. I love Jason, but vote Michael to balance things. I don't want to meet either. Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, final thoughts on Ed Wood. And I want to remind anybody who watches our show on Wednesday night, we are doing, speaking of Michael Myers, Halloween Resurrection. Seth has said he will rant for 17 minutes without taking a breath about why this movie is terrible. And it is probably the worst Halloween movie. I don't think that's a probably. I'm pretty. It's voted on by our followers. It's the worst Halloween movie.
A lot of them say Ends is now, which is insane.
No, Ends is not the worst.
No,
and neither is Halloween 2. For how much I don't like that movie, they're both not as bad as this. So.
Yeah, that's Resurrection is the only one I just like go. I don't think I'm going to watch that one.
Yeah. That one. I watched H2O the other day, and oddly enough, I liked it a little bit. I think I told Seth I think I'm a little bipolar when it comes to Halloween, because like last year I really enjoyed watching Rob Zombie's movies. This year I didn't, but I enjoyed H2O. I don't know what's wrong with me. So, and I also enjoyed watching Halloween Ends more the last time I watched it. So, I don't know. I'm bipolar. I'll never stop loving Curse of Michael Myers though. Can't help it.
I like watching it, but yeah, like when I have to judge
It's bad, I know.
objectively,
Yeah.
which is what I try to do when I'm talking about ranking. Like either I'm like, all right, what's the best to worst? I have to be honest about it. I can't say, well, this is my favorite, and I love this one, so I'm going to put this one above. Uh, I'm able to separate that from okay, I love this movie, but it's got a lot of flaws.
Yeah,
It's,
like if I do my personal ranking by enjoyment, I'm gonna put that pretty high. But doing that slash score thing that we do, I'm nervous about doing that for that one because I know it's gonna be low. Because objectively speaking, it's a really bad. Both cuts are really bad. They both have big problems, and I
yeah,
know that.
and enjoyment is just a personal. Like a
Yeah,
lot of times, it's what you saw when you were young and
I
impressionable.
saw that in an empty theater. I got to sit there. They like it was the theater was closed in a balcony. My mom's friend ran the theater. It was a smaller theater, like a three screen theater, and it was like this. The theater was it used to be like an actual stage production theater back in the early 1900s. And anyway, they had this old balcony section, and they had one left. And he sat me in the balcony, brought me all the popcorn I wanted, all the soda I wanted. And I got to sit there by myself watching one of my favorite horror icons on screen. I'll never forget that, and that's probably why I love this movie so much, to be honest. And I'll never forget I left my family's Christmas party a year later because I wasn't feeling too good. And something told me to stop at Blockbuster Video, and they had the previously viewed for $5, and I bought it, and went home, and watched it on Christmas. So just
I,
good memories, you know.
I it was part of that when I talked about Ed Wood when I went after class to watch it. I was going there every week, every Friday, and when Halloween 6 came out, I saw it 3 weeks in a row because I'd go back, I'd watch it the one day it opened, and then the following week there was nothing I really wanted to see, so I was like, I'm gonna watch Halloween again, and then the next week I'm like, kind
Look
of
who
want
it
to
is.
see Halloween again. How was They Live?
Yeah, how was it, man? You want
Was
to
it
jump
was it
on and
still
say hi for a minute?
Chip
Feel
on
free.
Seth?
We're here. I'm curious too. I
But
mean, I'm not a big They Live fan, but anytime you get to see something that you love, he's a Carpenter fan, you know, huge Carpenter fan.
he
Like
loves. They're a
getting to
great band.
see, yeah. But getting to see like last year, I got to see Rosemary's Baby on the screen. That's one of my top 5 horror movies of all time, and I was in heaven. Seeing Jaws. I took my kids to see Jaws. Was it last summer or 2 summers ago? Man, that was just the best. So
Here's a question. I've thought about this actually. All right, so we're seeing the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space and Bride of the Monster.
yes.
Name 3 horror movies, that you would love to see movies about the making of.
Hmm. Oh, Seth's gonna jump on for a minute. You got time? We'll hear about it from the horse's mouth, if you
Yeah,
will.
we'll ask that too.
Yeah. 3 movies. Well, I mean, you know one I'm gonna say already is I mean any genre, right?
No,
Okay.
horror preferably, since
Okay, so I'll stick with horror then. Elm Street's one of them for sure. I'd like to see the making of 1931's Dracula because they made 2 Dracula movies at the same time, and I feel like there could be some fun between the two cats.
that
I don't
would
know if they
be
ever saw each other, you know, like and I've seen both versions, and I wonder if the Todd Browning, if he ever saw any of the dailies from the Spanish version, and because it was a little bit better, it produced a little different, shot differently. So I think that'd be kind of
yeah.
cool. Uh, I don't know, a third one, Halloween maybe.
All would be fun.
Texas
I
Chainsaw Massacre.
like the Texas Chainsaw. I think
Yeah,
would be
Texas Chainsaw.
would be definite. Jaws is one I would like to
Mm,
see, the making of Jaws on film. Um, Let me run down theater. Um,
that's cool.
I like the Dracula idea, but yeah, Jaws.
Well,
I'd
think about it,
probably
they shot the Spanish version like and on the off hours, mostly at night, where they shot all the American version in the daytime. So it makes me like wonder if there was any conflict. I just keep thinking there was something because like did the Spanish team see what they did in the daytime? And was like, let's do this better. You know, may not be a fun movie. I'm just
what I heard they did. I think I read that they would see how they did it and they go, we're going to top that.
Yeah, because they did in very many ways.
This didn't have Bela.
No. Well, the guy, I can't remember his name. He was pretty good though.
He was okay, but he was no Bela.
No.
Bela's I've said this before. I don't think Dracula's that great of a film.
Yeah, no,
but I think
we did a whole show on Dracula last year.
But I think Bela and Dwight are amazing in it.
Dwight Fry is out of his mind in that movie, just completely on another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, like, they're the reason to watch. And, you know, it's got a lot of cool things, but it's tech. Apparently, Browning was not doing well at the time. I think he was going through a divorce or something. And Carl, who shot it, a lot of the best shots are stuff that he shot. When Todd wasn't planning it or wasn't around, apparently, is what I heard. And then when you watch The Mummy, which Carl directed, The Mummy is a better made movie than Dracula.
Yeah.
And it's basically a remake of Dracula, but
yeah, for the most part. All right, Seth's you're slowly joining in. So you got Jaws,
and Texas Chainsaw. I think The Exorcist would be fun to watch. To make it up, William Friedkin as a character. Someone playing William Friedkin would be fucking great. Because you could thought it like after like making the French Connection and then going into that. I don't know who could play Billy Friedkin because he was such a character, man.
Mm-hmm. Seth, nice shirt. Look, Halloween and Halloween 2. How about that?
Yep. I love Spider-Man.
How was the movie, first of all? How was They Live on the big screen?
Oh, it was fucking awesome. Loved it. So much fun.
This was your first time ever seeing it, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us about it. Like, was it a HD upconverter, whatever, or like the thing, or was it just they showed it?
There's moments like especially in the beginning where it didn't really look like it was HD, but then there was other moments where it just looked crystal clear. So I don't know. It was kind of like when they showed the thing, you know, the original.
Oh, the fan. Was it as bad as that showing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So
nightmares about.
Did you hear Nate's question, or where were you getting on? Okay, so we're talking about Ed Wood. Nate, you go ahead and do it. You present it better.
Oh, I just said, were there 3 movies that, like Ed Wood, you could go if you were to, because you're a screenwriter, if you would write 3 movies about the making of a horror movie, what 3 movies would you want to tackle as the making of that movie?
Oh, God damn, that's a really good question.
So I said Elm Street, 31's Dracula, and Texas Chainsaw. Nate said Jaws,
Chainsaw, and The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I would say probably The Thing would be one of them. Because, you know, if you listen to the audio commentary, it kind of sounded like that would be an interesting one to kind of see everything that went down.
Yeah, I didn't
Evil
think
Dead
about
2.
that.
Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2 would be great.
Yeah.
Or even the first one, I think would be even more fun to watch because there's such kids making it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Texas Chainsaw would have been.
Yeah, and you could cover what was it, Within the Woods as well, like Within the Woods and the Evil Dead.
Like you come up with all their little things, like putting this hammer on a 2x4 and all the little cool things that they did.
Yeah. And Halloween Resurrection. No.
Yes.
Brava. Yes.
Tons of cocaine.
Yeah.
That'll be a good idea. We should get Busta Rhymes.
No, the Howlin' 3. There's my answer.
Come on.
Howlin' 3.
Be serious.
What if they were kangaroos?
Marsupials. Come on. Army of Darkness would have been fun. Any of the Evil Dead movies probably be fun.
Yeah.
After Seth comes on here and throws Evil Dead, I'm starting to think of more movies I'd like to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see Evil Dead.
Yeah, Evil Dead would be really cool.
That would be fun, just because they were just babies, man.
Mm.
Sam was like, what, 21, 22 years old?
Man, yeah. Plus, like, not even just that. Some of the, like, first of all, you'd have to cast Bruce Campbell, and that's probably impossible. But having him on set,
after all, he is a man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I thought you were going to come out here and say, "Oh, John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter
in the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness. That'd be good too. Prince of Darkness might be
our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
The Last Temptation of John Carpenter.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
When I said you weren't here, by the way, I made sure to say that you were seeing your Lord and Savior's They Live theatrically.
Well, thank you.
So make sure everybody knew that. That would have been a fun one too. Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead would be fun.
Who Gallagher? Elm Street too. That might have been fun. Although I don't know, David Chaskin seems like an idiot. So, well, he probably would have been on set.
Friday 6 would be good.
Yeah.
Making of the Abyss.
I've never seen Making of the Abyss.
That's why I think Jaws would be fun, because I think like just Richard Dreyfuss, like, he didn't want to do Jaws. And he said, why? He goes, I think it's gonna be a great fucking movie. I just don't want to make it. So it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, he was in water a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
on those boats.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, have they ever made a making of documentary of Jaws?
Yeah, there's documentaries about. I just think a movie about the making of that movie,
right?
And, like what Spielberg had on his shoulders as a 25-year-old kid. I think he was 25. Like the pressure of, maybe he's a little older than that, but the pressure of making a movie that size, and it was over budget and behind schedule, and the shark's not working.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Maybe Spielberg could make that movie.
And Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw's head butting.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's what I was going to say, is those two did, from what I remember, or from what I understand, did not really get along, right?
Yeah, but I think they said they like had a mutual respect, kind of like they do in the movie, by the end of it. But I think that would be a really interesting movie to watch. I've always thought that was always come number one. And we talked about Chainsaw. I think there's so many great stories about the making of Chainsaw and all the like that day of hell. Even if the movie was just that day, that 23-hour day in the kitchen, that they said by the end of it they wanted to really kill Sally or Marilyn, because it was like the room like awful smell, was over 100 degrees, 23 hours straight shooting that scene.
It blows my mind that it took that long to get that scene. We had on our original show John Dugan on. Then he talked about the filming of that movie. That's one of the reasons I went to Texas Chainsaw, was remembering what he said and how gross and hot it was. And he was in that makeup, that grandpa makeup. Mm-hmm. Like, I couldn't imagine that being a fun shoot at all. And I'm sure that like not just that 23-hour day, but I'm sure tempers were running pretty high on that shot. But also they made a lot of really cool stuff in that movie. I mean, there are some really iconic moments, and that shot from underneath the swing, the porch swing, is one of the most like dynamic shots in early horror, or early film, really. That they kind of came up with that one,
That's the one I told the story where Danny Pearl showed up on, I think, the set of like Close Encounters or something, and Spielberg heard he was there and said, "Wait a minute," and he like stopped production and walked off with Danny. Goes, "How did you get that shot at the swing set shot?" Spielberg wanted to know he was excited to meet Danny.
I would imagine that the guy was on the ground, right?
Yeah, I think it was they went under it.
I don't think I've ever actually seen a documentary on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's the thing. There's probably no footage of them shooting that movie at
No,
all.
I mean, it was nice to see, footage of The Shining. I watched the whole documentary that was shot by Kubrick's daughter, I think,
Yeah,
which was really cool. But yeah, back then,
that one, and then Document of the Dead, the behind the scenes of Dawn of the Dead. It's
yeah, I've seen, yeah.
really cool to watch.
Seth, we're probably not going to be on very long. It's nice to see you, man.
Yeah.
What did you think of Ed Wood? Were you a fan of this one?
Oh yeah. I've seen it. I saw it when I was a kid, and probably around the same time I first watched Plan 9 from Outer Space. So it was kind of fun. It's kind of fun to watch. And actually, I didn't get to watch Ed Wood recently, but probably like a month ago, I started showing it to Amber. We had to stop for some reason, but I gotta. We gotta finish it.
Did you have to put on your Angora sweater?
I like to wear women's clothing.
Yeah, I love it. We talk about it a little bit. We both love it. What is your favorite Tim Burton movie? Outside of any Batman, don't mention not Batman. Tim Burton movies. Tim Burton movies. Like,
I would say Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, okay.
It's very. I like the really. I love like the gothic look of it. Just
it's kind of a love letter to the Hammer films in a way.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's got an amazing score from Danny Elfman, and it's just it's very cool visually. It's really fun to watch, and
that's what our topic is next week. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, like the Disney cartoon, was probably some of the earliest horror exposure for me. Like we used to watch it at school, in elementary school, and I just loved every October to get to watch.
You know what's funny is the Ichabod in that he's very tall and slender. He's got that nose. It's like when they cast Johnny Depp, I was like, hey, he doesn't look like that guy.
He wanted to look like him. You ever hear that? Like, he wanted to have prosthetics. He wanted the big ears and the big nose.
Really?
And the studio wouldn't let him do it. They go, we're paying for Johnny Depp. We want pretty Johnny Depp.
Right.
But he wanted to look
Johnny Depp.
like that.
I mean, he had just done. He made himself bald for Fear and Loathing, right before that. So Johnny Depp gets into a role.
He wants to disappear. He doesn't want to be Johnny Depp.
No.
He's a guy. He's really shy. Like Johnny's really shy apparently, but when he gets to completely disappear into a character, like he really wants to disappear into it. He wants to be somebody else and look like somebody else.
And I think he did that in Ed Wood, because that's not Johnny Depp you're seeing on screen, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, Seth, are you ready for Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, you looked angry for a second because it's one of your favorites. Just saying.
I am tuning in.
One of my favorites.
I promised a 17-minute rant without you taking a breath on why that movie is bad. So you gotta give them what they want, Seth. They want 17 minutes of nonstop of you ranting
This is
about
probably
this.
gonna be longer than 17 minutes.
Yeah, and start. Yeah, that's true. Johnny Depp doesn't seem like he's that boring based on the trial documentary I just watched. Sound like he was kind of wild. Anyway, I guess, is there anything else we want to talk about before we go? It's 11 o'clock for you guys. Is it a holiday for you guys tomorrow?
Yeah, Labor Day.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, like, if everybody's off on Labor Day or not.
I'm not off, but
I'm off, but I'm off for the next 2 weeks. So. In between jobs, as they say. Legit, I have another job coming. I'm not like in the poorhouse or whatever. Maybe I am, and I need you to send me money. No,
we could talk about Patricia Arquette. We didn't really mention her, who I love, and she's great in this.
She is really great, but and her role was kind of small.
Sarah Jessica Parker is great.
I did. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned her, because it's funny when they read the reviews of the play from the beginning of the movie. Does my face really look like a horse or whatever? I'm like, oh my god.
And that stayed with her too.
That did.
People make
Because,
fun of
like,
her. Yeah.
like did South Park or something like do that? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
and unfortunately, like I never looked at her the same after that because right before that she was in Hocus Pocus and she looked fine as hell in that. And then I see
I had
her
a
and I'm like,
crush
"Oh,
on
she
her.
looks good." And then she says that I'm like, fuck.
I had a
Now I
crush
see
on her
it.
back in the 80s. Like Footloose and
Footloose, yeah.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yeah, like that's unfortunate. But I mean, she had a great career anyway. She
Yeah,
was in
she's
that
Sex and the
Sex and
City,
and
huge, made her an icon, really.
she's a pretty woman, I think. I don't care.
Yeah, she's cool.
And she was good in this movie.
Who else is in this?
We mentioned Bill Murray.
The guy that plays the Sam Weiss. Is that what his name is? The guy that produces Glenn or Glinda and
oh yeah, the mafia guy.
The guy from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Bo
gas
Starr's
man.
brother, right?
Who?
It's Bo Starr's brother. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He's great in it. What does every movie need to be successful? Tits. Oh, movie star. Yeah. Bela Lugosi. Isn't he dead?
Oh no, Anthony Starr is Homelander.
Right. Who else is in there?
Well, let's see: Lando, Bill Murray, Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, we've
Vampira.
Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie was really perfect to play Vampira. Like she's just told, and George Animal Steel was perfect to play Tor Johnson.
Yeah,
it's really like the casting is just fantastic in this.
Lisa Marie brought that same energy to Mars Attacks.
She's the only one I met.
Oh, you met her?
I met Lisa Marie.
I like the premiere when the little boy goes and grabs her boob, and Lugosi just got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
I like
you see that little boy grab Brian Power's boobies?
He's lucky or something like that. Yeah.
Well, like when they're watching her on TV, they're watching the White Zombie, and it's like, oh, I hate it when she interrupts the movies. Like, I think she's a honey.
Yeah.
Look at those jugs. Bad Bela, all the lines, man. Bullshit.
He's in Sleepy Hollow also.
Oh. Lando's in that one, isn't he?
Yeah, the Sleepy Hollow is great because you get a lot of these older stars in it because Christopher Lee's in it. Ian
Holm.
Ian Holm. Well, I was thinking of the guy. Ian McDermott is in it. Palpatine.
And
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah. Jeffrey Jones is in that one too.
Michael
right?
Gambon, yeah.
Michael Gambon.
Don't forget Casper Van Dien's in it.
Yay! Christina Ricci.
Michael Goff.
Or Ricky.
Is it Ricci? Ricky?
Ricky. I think it's Ricky. Ricky, I think. Christopher Walker.
So it's pronounced Ricci as far as Wikipedia says. I always liked her.
She's like perfect Tim Burton actress. Like he just like he's got these people that are just perfect for him. Like when he would get when Helena Bonham Carter showed up, married her, and she was perfect for his aesthetic. And then when what's her name, Eva Green, when she popped up in his movie, she was perfect for him.
She Helena Bonham Carter. There's something about her that screams period piece.
I love her. That's the one we didn't bring up, but I love his Sweeney Todd movie. I think it's highly underrated. Oh my god, his Sweeney Todd movie is great. Her and Johnny Depp are fantastic together.
Well, I mean, Johnny Depp's on a lot of his stuff.
That's one of the exceptions in that period where he was just they were just doing everything that was slightly horror based that had been done before, or anything that's quirky, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Dark Shadows, and what else did he do? Planet of the Apes and
Big Fish.
And,
Big Fish is so good. I like Big Fish a lot, and nobody ever talks about that movie.
Yeah, they don't.
That's a shame because it's really freaking good. It's my first exposure to Albert Finney, actually, that I actually recognized who he was.
I mean, you said you hadn't seen Big Eyes with Amy Adams, and I think Ewan McGregor's in that too, isn't it? Is he in that one too? No.
And Big Fish.
Who's her husband? No, in Big Eyes.
Oh, I've never seen that.
It's it's based on an artist, and Amy Adams plays her, and the husband took all the credit for her paintings.
No.
Who is it? Let's see. Christoph Waltz.
Oh.
Played her husband. And Kristen Ritter's in it, who's another very much like Eva Green kind of. Danny Houston.
Yeah.
Jason Schwartzman, Terrence Stamp. Wasn't he? Was Terrence Stamp in Sleepy Hollow?
I don't think so. I didn't see his name on the list, but
I think
Christopher Lee was in it for a second, so maybe somewhere in there he might be.
I think Terrence Stamp was I think he was like Christina Ricci's father, maybe. Or
no, that's Michael Gambon.
Okay, I could have swore he's in that though.
He might be. I get to watch it again, so well, I guess we'll see. I'm looking forward to watching it too.
What year did that come in? 99?
99, yeah.
And I guess he wasn't. He was in the Limey that year.
No, I don't see his name on the list here.
He did a lot of movies. He did Bowfinger, Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, and the Limey that year. Bowfinger, another movie about a making of a movie.
Yep, it is. That's a weird movie too. Steve Martin.
That movie.
I didn't think. Well, I only rented it because it's Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy together. I don't remember the movie almost at all, except for the scene where he has him cross the street on a busy street or something like that. But yeah, I barely remember the movie.
Otherwise, I want to watch that again. That was a funny, underrated movie, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if it's streaming somewhere. A second. Bowfinger. 99 was a big. It's on Peacock. 99 was kind of a big year for movies.
Yeah, Edgar Wright on that Joe Dante show. He did. I think he chose 1999 as his favorite year for movies, and he basically picked it because that was the first year he made his first movie, and so he picked out movies from 1999. And at first, I'm like, I don't remember a whole what else. And so of course, The Matrix and Phantom Menace and Blair Witch,
The Mummy.
But he started naming all these movies. Like, oh shit, yeah. I can't remember what movies. If I see what 99 had, I could tell you what Edgar Wright's picks were.
Was Sixth Sense 99?
Yeah, that was.
And Stir of Echoes.
Yeah, one of my favorite Johnny Depp movies, The Ninth Gate. All right,
Fight Club.
Update for you, Nate. Michael Myers is edging out Jason 43-38.
Fight Club, The Matrix were two of his.
Fight Club's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that the year that American History X came out? Or was that 98?
I think that may have been 2000, maybe.
The Big Lebowski? Well, that was 98.
That was 98.
Yeah. But like those 2 years, those 2 or 3 year window, like 98 to 2001, there's some good stuff in there.
I think he picked Election.
Oh yeah, with Matthew Broderick and what's her name?
John Malkovich.
That's a good movie. It's a weird movie.
Audition came out that year.
Take everything you know about John Cusack and Cameron Diaz and throw it out the window.
Thomas Crown Affair. He liked that one a lot.
That's a good one. Rene Russo's topless in that movie. Just saying.
The Straight Story. The David Lynch movie.
I think I saw that one.
It's a good one.
Probably a Star Trek.
It's always a Star Trek or a Bond movie, right?
Yeah. No Bond movie that year, though.
No Bond movie that movie?
No. It was
that before Craig came.
Or no, there was a Bond movie that year, wasn't there? It was Tomorrow Never Dies, the one with, or was it the one with Christmas? or whatever her name is.
The World Is Not Enough.
The World Is Not Enough. I'm pretty sure that's a 99, right?
98 or 90, because that's Garbage did the theme song, and it
I
was
know I
around
love
the
that
time when they were
song.
blowing up. Yeah, I think it was 98 or 99.
99, yeah. The world is not enough. I'm not gonna try to sing it.
Cool video with her as a robot.
Let's get ready to look up the movies I've seen from 1999. Let's see here.
Some good stuff in there, but yeah, that's still that period where I'm not a fan going back, like 97 to 2002 or so, like my least favorite when I look back, because there's really good movies in that time frame, but so many of them are so dated. And
well, yeah, there's definitely a
Halloween Resurrection came out, and that.
I know. Man, like look at 1998 alone: A Perfect Murder, American History X, Armageddon, Basketball, The Big Lebowski, City of Angels, Dark City. Do you guys remember that movie?
Yeah, Alex Prost movie.
Yeah, Deep Impact, Enemy of the State, Fear and Loathing, Fallen, Half Baked, Hard Rain.
I love Half Baked.
Yeah.
Doctor says I need a back of
Hope Floats, Hush, Jack Frost, Lethal Weapon 4, Out of Sight, Overnight Delivery, Pecker, The Players Club, Pleasantville.
Pecker is like one of my favorite John Waters movies.
That's a good movie, actually. I like that movie.
Serial Mom's probably my favorite, but
oh yeah, Saving Private Ryan, Rush Hour, Senseless, 6 Days, 7 Nights, SLC Punk, Sliding Doors, Small Soldiers, excellent film. Snake Eyes, Spice World, Slums of Beverly Hills, another good one.
Blade came out there.
Red Line, Truman Show, Waterboy, Wedding Singer, There's Something About Mary, Wild Things, U.S. Marshals, Very Bad Things. I like that movie. You've Got Mail. That's all the stuff I've seen from 98. 99 is pretty big too, though. American Pie, come on. American Beauty.
I was never a big American Pie guy. I don't know why.
Oh, that came out at a perfect time for me.
I think it's probably timing because I was already way out of high school.
They were the class of 99. I was the class of 98, so it was right there.
I was 5 years out of high school. But the movie before that, I think it was 98, was Can't Hardly Wait.
I love Can't Hardly Wait, yeah.
I identified with that one somehow.
That one was made for the class of 98. Yay, that's me. But you didn't.
All about the memories.
It's all about the memories. Remember that time you threw up in your backpack?
Was that your backpack? You're like, no.
No. That's a good movie. The whole time when she, yells at Mike Dexter and somebody just yells, fag at him. That was pretty funny.
Somebody in there called me a fag.
Eyes Wide Shut came out in 99.
99, yeah.
Yeah, that's another good one. Galaxy Quest. Girl Interrupted, Go, The Green Mile, Life, Man on the Moon. Is that the one with Jim Carrey? Andy
Kaufman movie. Great movie.
Mystery Alaska's really good. Never Been Kissed. Office Space.
Oh.
Yeah, there's She's All That, one of Nate's favorites.
I was just watching this documentary. I think it's on Prime about cult movies, and they were doing the comedy. And like they were naming Office Space was one of them, and I was like, they're naming all these movies that I just think are hilarious. They did Napoleon Dynamite, which I think is one of the funniest fucking movies I've ever seen. They did Clerks right after it, which is one of the funniest movies I ever saw. And then they did Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which I think is the funniest fucking movie ever made. And Office Space was one of them.
I love Office Space.
And what was that? They did the Fast Times, Ridgemont High, and. Yeah, they were talking about Fast Times. They said, when I can't remember who it was. Like when I watched that movie, I thought Sean Penn was just some surfer dude that they actually found, like Jay. Because I thought it's this, and they goes, no, he was just this really fucking amazing actor. And like when Kelly Maroney from Night of the Comet, she played the cheerleader in that. She's like, Sean had never smoked weed. Ever.
What?
So he was not someone who had done pot. And like you
played it well.
Yeah, I know that dude.
Orders a fucking pizza while class is going on. You gotta love that.
They were playing the scene where he's doing the interview after winning the surfing thing.
Yeah.
My favorite line is goes, "Where'd you get that jacket?"
Oh, the studio gave me this. Yeah, I love that movie. That's when we get to do our 1982 episode. That's going to be a fun one too, because there's a lot of good stuff. My mom showed me that when I was like 4 years old. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like, you see Jennifer Jason Leigh completely naked in that movie, like bush and all. That might have been the first bush I ever saw. Sorry if I call it bush. That's Revenge of the Nerds. You know, I could say hair pie, but
bullshit. Pan down.
How could you get tired of looking at that ass? I love that movie too.
Gosh,
these outdated movies that nowadays would never be socially accepted.
I remember we were filming my Fear for Sinners here, that Christmas movie, and me and the DP and the camera people and Barbie, who was the costume girl, like they knew each other, but we were all like those talking movie quotes people. So like as I'm editing the movie, you can hear us like we went on this tear where we just were quoting movies like just random, and we got on the Revenge of the Nerds, and you could hear Johnny going, "I'll have pie," you know. We were just doing, and they're like, "What's wrong with us?" We're like, I mean, we were tired because we were shooting a 25-minute movie.
Yeah, but that's one of the fun things about being a movie nerd, you know.
Yeah,
is knowing all. Like me and my friend Tony, we dressed up as Hunter S. Thompson and Dr. Gonzo. I got to be Dr. Gonzo, and of course, and but the thing is, like, we knew that movie backwards and forwards, Fear and Loathing, and even not in costume, we would just have conversations like from the movie, and people were like, "What the fuck is with these people?" You know, like, because we were just quoting shit from the movie.
Backcountry.
Yeah, I mean, like he would always, every time he'd introduce me to somebody, he'd call me his attorney. My attorney. He's got a heart condition, angina pectoris, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, it's like we knew like every freaking line, and we'd always like confuse the hell out of people around 99, 2000, because it was The Big Lebowski, Fear and Loathing, and American Psycho were the three most quoted movies for us. And oddly enough, American Psycho was in there too. And that's one of the things, that's one of those movies I can watch over and over with a big ass grin on my face, is American Psycho, because I know every word of that movie. And I read the book beforehand, back in the mid-90s, I guess. It was on a preferred reading list by one of my teachers, and I got to read that and Rules of Attraction. Bret Easton Ellis is a weird guy, because he said that American Psycho is like his autobiography.
He's really like, you ever listen to him on like podcasts and stuff?
No.
I think I heard him on Rogan once, and yeah, he's somebody that's really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, I've read interviews with him, and I've seen like quotes here and there, but like I know that like the way he wrote that, it sounds like those are his deepest desires. American Psycho,
his id.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Like and you talk about that. It made me think of Hunter S. Thompson on the commentary, which you brought up, where the scene where like Raul Duke like is talking to the attorney, and the little person comes up to wait on him. He throws the tip. He throws the chains down. And I remember like
the waiter goes. He goes, "Thank you."
Yeah, he throws it, and Hunter's like, "I wouldn't do that. Like, I wouldn't have done that. That's disrespectful."
Well, it's true. But the funny part about that is not just the fact he throws the change. The waiter just stares at Johnny, and he's looking at him like, wait for him to say something. He just says, "Thank you," and walks away. Yeah, Johnny, that's got to be one of Johnny Depp's best roles of all time.
He's so good in that.
He's so fucking weird.
And the thing about that role is that I don't think Hunter totally ever left Johnny, because after that, Johnny talked like Hunter Thompson, like he acted
Jack
like
Sparrow is like almost like Hunter S. Thompson in a way, or his version of Raul Duke. In many ways, you can see like some of the things he does with his hands and stuff like that, and even some of the way he talks. It's like you can see Raul Duke left over.
And he loved Hunter so much, and even like what paid for his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Then he made Rum Diary.
American Psycho is one of the films that I saw where most of the audience were, "Really? That sucks." I love that movie. You guys like American Psycho?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Some of the Mary Herron.
Just
Weird
saw her
movie
on
too. And they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio.
Which I love that he wanted to do that because, like we talked about Johnny Depp, he didn't want to be a heartthrob after Titanic. Like, he didn't want to get stuck in that. And he because DiCaprio's a great actor, and he didn't want to be the teen beat guy. He wanted, so I think the movie he did after that was The Beach, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a good movie too, actually. Well, it's okay.
Yeah, but he was trying. He didn't want to. He could have. He could have done like what McConaughey did, or get stuck in like romantic comedy hell, for a while. Because I think that's what he was the it guy, and he could have just done a lot of. But DiCaprio did. Like, to me, DiCaprio, Depp, and Pitt were those three guys who are really good actors, and didn't want to be.
Who was the middle one?
DiCaprio, Depp, and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt. They got a lot of attention for their looks, and I think River Phoenix would have fell in that too if he hadn't passed away, because he was a really good looking guy, but a very serious actor and very talented actor. Yeah,
some of the movies he made, you wouldn't, think that somebody that pretty would be like. Why wasn't he in Cry Baby? Yeah, I couldn't see that. That movie's dumb. But DiCaprio even early on was making like he played Arnie in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah.
That's not a heartthrob role at all, and he fucking knocked it out of the park too.
He plays Jim Carroll, and he played he was taking challenging
roles. He was a Gwyneth.
That's right. No, he is one of the best actors of our generation, probably.
What turned me around on him was not only The Beach, which I really like, but Gangs of New York. I fucking love that movie.
Kings of New York.
Gangs of New York.
Okay. Yeah. Scorsese, right?
I think Gilbert Grape was probably, but I loved the one he did with De Niro. Was A Boy's Life and Basketball Diaries. I was a big fan of Romeo and Juliet.
I really liked that too. I actually saw that in the theater with a girl.
I loved Titanic. I don't care what anybody fucking says. I love Titanic.
I do too. I loved it so much that I showed it to my kids a couple years ago, and now it's one of Helena's favorites. So I like it. It's a landmark in filmmaking, first of all.
And then,
Critters 3, by the way, Seth.
Critters 3.
Yes.
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains, yes. Basketball Diaries. Quick and the Dead. Let's see. Man in the Iron Mask, he made that after Titanic.
Is that what he made after Titanic?
Yeah, The Beach was right a little bit after that, too. Catch Me If You Can's really good.
He did the Woody Allen movie, didn't he?
Is that
Celebrity?
Don's Plum? Celebrity, yeah. Okay, I don't know. And there's something called Don's Plum in there, which I don't know what that is. The Aviator. The Departed, which is a fantastic film.
I mean, he took De Niro's spot. Basically,
yeah.
Doing all the Scorsese movies.
But you know what his best role was? Calvin Candy.
Oh, yeah, he's great in that.
Dude, Calvin Candy was like I've always liked DiCaprio, but when I saw that movie, I was like, holy shit, this fucking guy is the best.
I like him.
He's so good in that.
I love him as Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's good. Well, I mean, that's after.
Look at hippies.
He's good in everything I've ever seen him in.
I'm so ready.
I love the line. What? Oh my God, is everyone okay? Well, those fucking hippies aren't. That's for sure.
Goddamn hippies aren't. That's for damn sure.
That's on my list to rewatch this year.
I burnt her ass up. Yeah, and I can't wait to see that new one, that Western that Scorsese he made.
Was one of the Killers of the
Flower Moon?
Flower Moon.
When's that coming out?
Probably soon. Probably a month or two. Probably it's gonna be. It's going Oscar season. Probably be like November.
Oscar season
or December.
Yeah. Name a bad Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
There's some. I didn't like
Critters 3.
Critters 3. I remember Blood Diamond didn't really work.
I didn't like that one.
But yeah, there's not a lot. Catch Me If You Can is a great one. I love that movie.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can is a lot of fun. I didn't care for The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Nor J. Edgar either. That's another one I didn't really care for all that much. A lot of biopics in his filmography.
Yeah.
Wolf on Wall Street was good.
Bio.
I never saw Shutter Island. Was that any good?
Inception's great. Which one?
Shutter Island.
I like Shutter Island.
Shutter Island. Around to that one.
Shutter Island's underrated. The cool thing about Shutter Island is one of those movies. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I predicted it." It's
Jesus Christ! It's a Scorsese.
Yeah, it's his horror movie, really.
Max von Sydow's in it too.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley.
The cool thing about that movie is to go back and watch it after you've seen it, because everything. Yeah, I'm not spoiling it. Like once you know the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not giving anything away. But once you know the movie, you can see things that Scorsese did cleverly.
How have I not seen this? It's been out for 13 years.
I think Jackie Earle Haley's in it too, isn't he?
Freddy?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger's in it. And God, that guy. I think Elias Koteas. I think Elias is Casey Jones.
How do you say it? Koteas?
Koteas.
I don't know. I like him.
Yeah.
What was that he was in the mid-90s with?
The Prophecy?
Not that one. Yeah, I did. I watched that last year.
Paul Hogan movie?
Hmm?
You ever see the Paul Hogan movie he was in?
No.
Almost an Angel?
Oh, yeah. That's the one? Okay, yeah.
That was a good one.
No, I'm trying to think of the movie. It's like he's a cop, I think. And Fallen. Yeah. That was a good movie. He was in that.
Denzel Washington movie. Yeah. I remember, I don't remember if that was good because the whole time I watched it, I go, this is fucking Shocker. Because it had a lot to do, a lot in common with Shocker.
I think it's a little bit better than Shocker.
It's probably better than Shocker, but I remember watching it going, because in Shocker, he keeps jumping into different bodies and he's got the limp, so that's how they know it. And he keeps singing that song, Time is on my side, the Rolling Stones song. I'm like, well, this is like Shocker.
Yeah, but the cool. I like that you could just touch somebody and it passed on that through touch, which I like. There's another movie that came out about that time that was kind of similar to that.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes. No, it had It was another one-word title movie, but I can't remember offhand what it was. And it wasn't exactly the same, but it kind of had the same kind of idea. I think it came out the year before. I'm gonna have to look that one up because I don't know. Is Fallen a horror movie?
Thriller, but yeah, probably. I think it's a horror movie because it's supernatural, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got horror aspects to it. I mean, I haven't seen it in forever, so I couldn't say for.
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah,
I go back because I like Denzel so much. I need to go back to it.
Yeah, I love Denzel Washington.
I want to go see Equalizer 3 this Tuesday.
I've never seen the other two. I didn't because when I saw they're making that, I'm like, I thought he didn't do sequels because didn't he have a thing against doing sequels?
I guess he likes Antoine Fuqua. I think working with him. But this is it's a fun character.
What's your favorite Denzel movie?
Man on Fire.
Man on Fire. Okay. Seth, do you have?
That's tough. I know John Q was a pretty powerful movie, but I don't know if it was my favorite. I
don't think I saw that one.
That was a good one.
It's got a really good story to it. It's got a message about the healthcare system. Trying to think, there's a Denzel movie that's on the tip of my tongue that I really love. I just can't think of it.
I really liked Fences.
They can't do sequels to Man on Fire.
Yeah, man, I love the the John Creasy books so much, and I hear they're making a TV series. and they're going to do the first 2 books.
I didn't know it was based off of a book.
Yeah, AJ Quinnell, AJ Quinnell, who was a mercenary himself, wrote them. It's a fake name, and the first book was Man on Fire, came out in 1980. And Tony Scott was going to direct it then, and then he got Top Gun, so he left the project, did Top Gun, and I don't remember who took it over, but Man on Fire was made in 1987 with Scott Glenn and Joe Pesci, and Scott Glenn played John Creasy, and then finally Tony got to make it in 2004, but the second book was called The Perfect Kill, and it was Creasy had gotten married because he lived in the book, and
okay,
he got married. I know he
died in the movie, right?
Yeah, he got married, and he got he had a kid, and his wife and his child die on a plane. A plane like gets hijacked or blows up, and he finds out that it was terrorism, and a woman was killed on the plane as well, and her teenage son is like an orphan now, and Creasy takes him under his wing and trains him to be an assassin too, and 2 of them hunt down who did it. And then the third book was really fucking dark and good, called Blue Ring, I think, and it's about sex trafficking, and they rescue this girl from sex trafficking, and they get her clean off heroin, and go after the sex ring together. And there's 5 books.
Ugly topic too.
Yeah. Oh, it's rough. It's a rough read, but the guy's a really great fucking writer. Like, they're really well written books. I've read a couple other that weren't John Creasy books, but I've always like, God, I wish Denzel had stuck with that role and Tony had made other movies, but since they killed him in the end of it, yeah.
Another good one is The Book of Eli. I really like that one.
That was good.
That's another one I haven't seen.
You liked it?
I don't know why I haven't seen a lot of movies.
I thought the Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 remake was pretty decent.
The remake?
Which, yeah, I think Tony Scott did that one too, didn't he?
With John Travolta.
That's one of John Travolta's better later movies.
I don't know. I like John Travolta overall. Like, I can't find that movie that I'm talking about. I'm trying to find that movie.
I liked Fences a lot with Denzel. And I liked the Tragedy of Macbeth, and damn it, I want a DVD or a Blu-ray.
I didn't see that either. I need to go through these filmographies and start going through their movies and stop watching so many horror movies.
Virtuosity?
Oh. Ricochet? John Lithgow and him?
I think I've seen that.
I like the remake of the Manchurian Candidate.
What's that?
I like the remake of the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah,
that was pretty good too.
Yeah, Denzel. Oh, we haven't even talked about Training Day, did we?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that other movie might have came out in 1999.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. Most of the stuff I've seen is earlier, I guess, for him. Because when I think of him, I think of that about that time frame when he's younger.
Courage Under Fire. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, A Crimson Tide was great. Tony Scott movie. It's him and Gene Hackman. That was a good one.
Yeah, this movie did not come out in 1997, whatever it is. Sorry, if I think about something and I can't figure it out, I got to figure it out, or it's going to drive me crazy.
What are you looking at, Denzel?
No, it's a movie that came out around the time of Fallen, and it just I watched it and it reminded me of Fallen a little bit, but it's not like Fallen. It's not. Somebody said Crash. It's not that, and I can't remember what the hell it's called. Payback. That's a good movie with Mel Gibson. So I'm going through every movie that was released in 1999 now, because it was right around that time, but it was like a kind of like a horror thriller type movie like that could go either way. Because Fallen is kind of like that to me. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, another good one. Not Denzel, but Ravenous.
Stir of Echoes.
That was 99. Yeah. For a second, I thought that was it, but it's got one. I'm almost certain it's one word. And Go. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, Doug Liman movie.
I like that.
Claire. When I had the Timmy the Elephant. Claire. That's a fat girl name.
Yeah.
It's from Breakfast Club.
All right. Well,
Who wrote Go? Was it?
let me go back to it.
Doug Liman write that?
And the title is perfect, by the way. And I love the scenes with oh God, what's his name? He was in The Dark Knight as the bank teller.
Oh yeah, he just did horror. He was just in Horror Hound.
Was he?
Yeah.
He's one of those actors. It's always a pleasure seeing him in a movie.
Melissa McCarthy was in Go.
Was she really?
Yeah. She popped up like she was in some stuff. I just didn't remember. Like I'd forgotten she was the woman in This Is 40.
Oh yeah,
she touched my nipple. Yeah. He goes. She said my son looked like Tom Petty. Who's Tom Petty? You know who Tom Petty is.
Did you see the credits when she was just kind of vamping, going on? Like,
yeah,
she's pretty damn funny.
I love her. I don't care what anybody says. People like going on. I was like, she had some of the best. Like when she was on Saturday Night Live, one of my favorite Saturday Night Live bits was where she played. Oh God, what's his name? Michael Che's mom. It was Mother's Day episode, and it's like Weekend Update. Mm. And she came on as Michael Che's mom, and she had like a sweatshirt with Michael Che as a little boy on her shirt. And she was just acting like a sweet mom. She's like, "Oh, just say something funny. I'm just going to sit here. I can't wait to laugh." And she was just like this adorable. It's just one of the funniest things I've seen on Saturday Night Live in a while.
I never saw that.
Then she did that one where she was like, she did the Speaker of the House when Trump first got in office. And she'd come out there on the podium that was motorized, and she'd roll around. Like a little guy that would get like frustrated. I can't remember his name. Was a little blonde-headed guy that would come out and not the Speaker of the House, but he would speak to the press for Trump.
The press secretary or whatever.
Yeah. And I can't remember what his name was, but she was fucking hilarious as him. She would get all mad, and the podium was on wheels, like those things kids ride, where they, there's two wheels make you move.
Yeah, that was on SNL.
Yeah,
I haven't watched SNL in so long. Well, anyway, the movie's like Fallen. I can't remember what it is. I get it. It's all I know is it's like one of those movies. You know how they always release like Armageddon and Deep Blue Sea. They always release two of the same type of movies. Well, it was like that. It might have been
Volcano and
Dante's
Peak. I remember on that Dante show that somebody said that they were talking about Linda Hamilton said some guy came up to her and said, "You're my favorite movie that you were in." She said, "What?" And he goes, "Volcano." She goes, "No, I was in Dante's Peak." He goes, "No, it was Volcano." She's like, "You're right."
I'm never gonna stop looking for this till I find it. I hate that about myself. Anyway, I gotta stop, or I'm gonna keep looking. So, anyway, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? We've been going on forever. Not traffic, no.
Melissa and Ghostbusters answered the call.
Where do you live? Book of Eli was filmed where you live.
You gotta check that one out. I remember Titan is good.
Yeah. The Book of Eli. I remember
Book of Eli. I think you dig it because Book of Eli's kind of got a comic book feel to it, and Gary Oldman is a villain, who's always great, and Book of Eli is like that's a fun kick-ass movie.
It's on Tubi.
It's like Mad Max with Denzel Washington
Playing a blind guy.
playing a black. Yeah, he's like Zatoichi meets Mad Max with a dog and a knife and Gary Oldman and yeah, just a comic booky kind of movie.
It's comic booky.
It's kind of
I like
yeah. It
that.
just has it because it's not played realistic. There's a little heightened reality to it that kind of falls into comic book territory for me. It's just not played out like The Road,
The Road, is that
the Viggo Mortensen,
Mortensen?
Cormac
Yeah.
McCarthy movie.
I mean, yeah, I do like movies like that, hyper realistic.
My new short I wrote is like The Road. Hopefully, I make it.
Yeah, I hope so.
I want.
Still waiting on
I want
that
to make
sequel.
it. Yeah, that one's coming. But once I'm done with that one, which I'm almost done with my end of it, I want to make this one.
All right, I give up. I don't know what that movie is. I think I own it, so I'll find it on my DVD collection. Or I'm hallucinating, one of the two. The Book of Eli was filmed in Carrizozo,
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Oh, okay. Got a lot of stuff filmed in New Mexico.
I want to come down to New Mexico, like this place where No Country for Old Men was shot, Las Vegas, New Mexico. I think. No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She may know.
Yeah, Las Vegas, New Mexico, where No Country for Old Men was, where Red Dawn was shot.
Was it really?
Yeah, because the coin flip scene, that gas station is the same gas station where the Russians stopped to get gas in the tank, and Jennifer Grey leads them, runs away from them, and they pop up on the ground and shoot them.
Yeah, that's it. The same one.
The same, but yeah,
Oh,
same.
that's cool.
Same place.
God. Yeah, and Longmire.
There's a lot shot in New Mexico,
Yeah.
or Las Vegas, and then Marfa, Texas, is like not too far. They also shot No Country, but there was a lot shot there too. I was going to go when we went to Texas. I was going to go.
Well, that makes sense because they go to the border at some point, don't they?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be Texas, West Texas.
I don't remember the titles was filmed in Georgia. A lot of movies are filmed in Georgia these days.
And there's so many movies shot in Georgia.
Yeah.
I've been to the bulk of sets I've been to is, of course, California, but second is definitely Georgia. It's just
the last 3 Halloween movies were filmed in Georgia, weren't they? Why can't they film here? Like, it takes place in Illinois. Why don't you film in Illinois?
Well, Ends was shot and had some stuff in Georgia, but the other two were
Carolinas.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, because the hospital and everything was all that. Yeah.
Because there's the film studio there in Wilmington, I think. Yeah. So, but they're all pretty close together because I've been to all three, and they're. I mean, you could see Halloween Ends, Halloween Kills locations within like a weekend because they're all boom boom go down I-95 boom 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 boom.
That's one thing about Halloween Ends I like is some of the locations in that movie, like Laurie's new house and even the junkyard. That's stuff I'd like to see. There's some cool places in that movie that they get to visit. Cool locations. Yeah, I know. I mean, how many times have you watched a movie and at the end of the credits you see the big Georgia peach?
Yeah,
like
I was just
almost every Marvel movie you see that.
There's that big film studio. I went and met my brother-in-law lives down there in Peachtree City where they shot like The Walking Dead and Alexandria and all was there. We went last time I went down there this past spring. They took us. We had dinner at the film studio with my niece works there, and they film stuff there all the time. And she was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. I don't know I don't watch them, but the one where The Rock is teaching like soccer team. She's on the soccer team, like The Rock does the dance and all that. Anyway, but yes, there is a studio, and it's Chick-fil-A guy, Truth Cathy's son or whatever, owns the studio. Like it was his property, and he sold it, and they're building the studio there, and it's going to be the biggest studio I think in America pretty soon down there in that town. Bigger than anything in LA. Yeah. So yeah,
so that's the new Hollywood.
Pretty much, yeah. All the Marvel movies and all that stuff's made down there. A lot of TV shows. We went to when I went down there to see the Friday 13th 6 and what else was shot there? Halloween 2. They shot that in the same town, the Rob Zombie one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When I went down there were tons of tourists there, and they were all going around taking photos. All these young people, and I'm like, they can't be here for the same reason I'm here. What's done here? And like, I think the Vampire Diaries is shot in that town. And then there's another show that's big right now that's shot there. Can't remember what it was, but there's a whole lot of. It's just one of those small American towns, and there's a lot of stuff shot there.
That's cool. I'd love to. Like the only thing that there's only two things I can think of that were filmed near me, and that's a movie called Meet Bill. And I remember when that was being made, they made a big deal because I think Jessica Alba was in town, and everybody was trying to find a way to see her. And originally they said Lindsay Lohan was coming because she was supposed to be in it. And I was like, I just want to see Aaron Eckhart. He's because he was in The Dark Knight at that point. And of course, John Carpenter's Escape from New York was filmed in St. Louis as well. Yeah.
They're starting to make stuff here. Like I said, that Ethan Hawke movie.
Oh yeah,
Wildcat was just shot here. Dad and Mom, that
Nicolas Cage
movie was shot here. Back in the day, Michael Mann shot The Insider here because it was set in Louisville. The guy was a school teacher in Louisville that Russell Crowe played. Stripes was shot here.
Was it actually shot there?
Yeah, because they shot it at Fort Knox, which is right around the corner. I used to live right 40 minutes from Fort Knox. In downtown Louisville, where he's driving a cab and all that in the beginning. It's all downtown Louisville.
Oh, that's Louisville?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That bridge where he throws the keys off when he parks is the same bridge Muhammad Ali threw his gold medal off that bridge.
Is it really?
Because
so Bill Murray's keys and Muhammad Ali's medal are the same. I always assumed it was New York.
It looks like it, but yeah it's Louisville. I don't know if it's supposed to be New York, but it works.
Just assumed it was New York.
That part of Louisville still looks at. I mean, now it's all developed, but those old buildings on Main Street.
I think part of the reason I think it's New York is because Russell Zisky is teaching the English class. Son of bitch, shit. That class. In New York, that's where most people.
I thought Louisville got nuked in '85.
It did. Yes.
It did, yeah, '85. Well, it did get that. I remember when MTV was promoting Demolition Man and Stallone and all them came to Louisville because they were imploding the Beltnick building. So, live on MTV, they were having a party for the release of Demolition Man, and they blew up the building downtown, or imploded it or whatever.
For the movie, or just for the?
Just for MTV. It wasn't for the movie.
Oh my God, that's weird.
Well, they were going to do it anyway, so they decided, let's have the MTV special for Demolition Man, and they had like a big production and Stallone and Wesley Snipes and all over there.
I love that movie.
I ain't seen that in a while.
Yeah, neither have I, but she loves it too. Yeah, I've always liked that movie. That's one of the ones I visited a lot back in the early '90s. Dennis Leary's in it.
The one I haven't gone to locations, Sheba Baby, Pam Grier's movie was shot here.
I've never heard of that.
It came out in the '70s.
Is that a blaxploitation movie?
A blaxploitation movie. Elizabethtown was made here. With the what's his name? Orlando Bloom and Kirsten Dunst. Seabiscuit. For anything, Goldfinger was shot at Fort Knox because that's where. So part of Goldfinger was shot here.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I always think funny about Fort Knox because, like I said, I lived just down the road from Fort Knox when I was young, and Fort Knox. My buddy used to make fun. He goes, "You ever watch like G.I. Joe?" And they Cobra we're gonna steal the gold from Fort Knox, and it was always like some mountainous, tree-covered place, and it was like a fortress, and that was Fort Knox. And it's like Fort Knox is just a flat area by the highway with this large fence around it. It's just this little boring. I mean, you see it in Goldfinger. It's just a boring looking little building.
Yeah.
And like in G.I. Joe, they're like, it's like fucking Castle Dracula or something.
Plus, Fort Knox and G.I. Joe was right outside of Springfield. That was the time. Yeah. Anyway, Seth, was anything filmed by you? I've seen a couple things filmed in Chicago, The Dark Knight and Wanted. I got to see some of that being filmed.
It's a lot in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I did a whole tour.
But I live 5 hours from there, so I guess it doesn't really count.
That's about how far I am.
Yeah. Seth, can anything at all in
well, a little ways up north, Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice 2. What was it? That Harrison Ford movie with Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert Zemeckis did it.
No, What Lies Beneath.
What Lies Beneath? Yep, that was shot in Vermont. I'm pretty sure they did the Super Troopers movies in Vermont.
I'm gonna look it up. I've never looked up Vermont.
So Beetlejuice was filmed. Are they going back to that same house?
Yeah,
is that
actually,
house
yeah. And
for the movie?
I think they rebuilt the house.
They built it again. Amber went with some people up to visit the set about like a month or so ago.
That's pretty cool.
Movie shot in Vermont. Baby Boom, the Diane Keaton movie. Batman and Robin. Probably just a scene or two.
The Hitchcock movie there. Trouble with Harry.
Oh, I love Trouble with Harry.
A fucking hilarious movie.
I love that movie. Funny Farm was shot in Vermont.
I love Funny Farm.
I love Funny Farm. Ghost Story. Me, Myself, and Irene.
Ghost, is that from the 1980 movie?
Yeah, was it Fred Astaire one?
Yeah.
Return to Salem's Lot was shot there.
Got some places to check out there, Seth.
Something Wicked This Way Comes. Where is that town? Because I would love to see that town. That would be cool. The Trouble with Harry. Way Down East, the Lenny and Gish movie. That was cool. What Lies Beneath. And Wolf. Jack Nicholson.
Right. Yep. That's right. Yep. Wolf. Yep.
You should go find a filming location. How big is Vermont anyway? Is it a small state, a big state?
Well,
I don't know. I have no idea.
How close are you to the borders of the other states where you're at?
Well, I'm down in the southern Vermont area, so like I'm literally like 15 minutes away from New York and maybe a half hour away from Mass. Just I'm like right on the border of both.
I like you say Mass, like we're supposed to know what that means. No,
Massachusetts, home of an asshole.
Wicked.
Yeah, so she says Man of Steel was filmed in Illinois. Yeah, the Kent Farm is in Illinois, but it's like 4 or 5 hours from me. I can't remember. I'm looking for the name of the town. I can't remember what it was called because I wanted to go see it, but it was like all the way up north.
Yeah, when I went to Chicago, we went up to Illinois and Chicago last year and went to like all the John Hughes stuff. Went to the Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises because Dark Knight Rises was shot there. Yeah. No, that was Pittsburgh. Some of
it was Pittsburgh and some of it was Chicago. Dark Knight was Chicago for sure. Because I got to see the scene. I've seen the Tumblr in real life, and I got to see the scene where the Joker guys are going across the zip line. I got to see that being filmed.
We went saw like the High Fidelity record shop spot, and
High Fidelity is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I think the town where they shot Groundhog Day in Illinois.
Yeah.
Oh no! Well, I guess it was Pittsburgh. Because I'm getting them mixed up. Because we went to trip to Chicago. We went to trip to Pittsburgh last year, and a lot of stuff was filmed in there.
Yeah, didn't they have like a whole like homage or not like a something? I think you sent us like a picture of like, was that Groundhog Day? Like on a fence or something.
Yeah, I went to the Groundhog Day town. And it's all the spots are there.
It's so cool that you can find where things were.
It's really cool. It's like a scavenger hunt, man. Because you're walking, you're like, Georgia. Like we were driving. There was a place. It's funny. There was a place in Georgia, McDonough, Georgia. It's just south of Atlanta, and we had stopped into that town twice, I think, because there's a donut place there called Donut World. And the reason we stopped there is because they have vegan donuts. Every donut they have is vegan, but it tastes like fucking Krispy Kreme. I mean, it's amazing. I'm like, why do anyone else have these? Because I can't have eggs and milk. And I stop there every time we go down to Florida because my wife lives in Florida, or her family lives in Florida. So we always drive through there. And so we stopped there twice just to get donuts. And then I looked it up. I'm like, they shot Smokey and the Bandit here. So, like, all the Smokey and the Bandit, a lot of Smokey and the Bandit scenes are all shot in McDonough, Georgia. And then, like, I've been going down to Florida ever since I met her, every year, twice a year, since 2001. And there was an exit we kept seeing all the time, where it was like some kind of adult bookstore shit or whatever. You see all those billboards for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we always joked about it. And then I looked it up one day and I realized that exit, the adult bookstore thing, whatever, is like right there off the highway. But 5 minutes down the road is the town where they shot Doc Hollywood.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. So we went there and it was just awesome because it's like, it's the town. It's where he worked, and there's the house where he stayed, and here's where they all, all right there. Like I was like, we've been passing this exit up. There's 5 minutes off that exit is the Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, I think I remember you going there. That's a good movie.
Or Matinee. That I just saw that like when we were going up I-95, right off the road. I saw where they shot Matinee, like the some of the downtown and the theater where they show Mant was there, and we stopped there briefly and I walked around and got some photos. So yeah, it's really like every time we go anywhere now, I just start looking up online what was shot, where was it shot. Yeah, because I'm going to go through there, and if I can see them, just like the what was Gates of Hell Cemetery. I had no idea. I was going there for I think Halloween locations, and I was like, well, shit, right down the road is where they shot the Fulci movie in the cemetery in the beginning. I want to see that.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Where the guy hangs himself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
Father Thomas?
Yeah. Baby Driver. Oh, yeah.
Where was that anyway?
Baby Driver's in downtown Atlanta. I went through there and looked at all those locations.
No, I meant.
Oh, the Gates of Hell. I think it was in Georgia.
I don't have to go down. That's something I'd like to do. I like those movies quite a bit. And I know a lot of one of Zombie was filmed in New York, and I think City of the Living Dead.
Yeah, but they shut this one because of the cemetery. There's that church is still there. Like,
I wonder if it's the same cemetery because in the movie, she's in the grave and he has to bust her out with that mattock, and I wonder if it's the same cemetery Father Thomas hangs himself in. Anyway, same movie. I don't know why they go to two different cemeteries, but anyway.
Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, I was there, and it was really
that's cool.
Like old cemetery, and it was just down the road, and yeah, it's just cool. I've been like the cemeteries are really always interesting. I've been to cemetery from the Texas Chainsaw Cemetery, the Night of the Living Dead Cemetery.
Jason Lives too, right?
The Nightmare on Elm Street, the Jason Lives, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Halloween, like the remake or the 2018 where he goes to the cemetery. Yeah, like that. I think the Texas Chainsaw one was really cool to go there, and the Night of the Living Dead ones. Yeah, because I mean they're all there, and you kind of like I got to see it before it's gone. Like I think one of them. I told my wife I want to drive up to Georgetown. I want to see the Exorcist stairs.
Oh yeah,
I really want to do that.
There's a lot of stuff to see there.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about the Washington Monument and all this. I want to see the fucking Exorcist stairs.
I want to see the stairs. I want to see the school at Georgetown where she's they're filming the movie. There's a lot. The house is right there. I mean, you probably see a lot. I wonder if Exorcist 3 was filmed there too, because they show the stairs in that also.
One of my next trips down to Georgia, I want to try to go to the college where they shot Scream 2.
Windsor College. Isn't that supposed to take place in the Midwest too?
It's supposed to be up north, isn't it? Ohio, yeah, but it's shot in Georgia. It's like a girls' school.
Ohio's the Midwest, isn't it?
I think it's a girls' school.
The actual school?
Actual school, yeah.
No.
I think it's only for women. I remember right.
God, I need to start seeing some of these filming locations.
Georgia is like just full of
the hotbed
spots, yeah. And then just randomly, like I kind of want to go up to Cincinnati when I do Horror Hound because I've been up there so many times. But there's a lot shot in Cincinnati, and right there across the river from Cincinnati, Kentucky, Haunts was shot there. I kind of want to go to the locations for Haunt. And
some of it was filmed in Illinois too, but I can't remember what parts. The Carbondale. And
Richard Linklater talked about one of his favorite movies, Some Came Running, which is a hit Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Shirley MacLaine movie. And I watched it and I loved it. And I looked it up and I'm like, it was shot an hour from me. Like I drove up one day. I got up and I drove up there. It's right across the river, and found all those locations where like they shot this movie. And the thing is, I'd been there before. I went up there to shoot a scene for my new movie. There was a park up there and I needed a cave, and Jason Crow told me about a cave up there. So we went up there, shot the cave, went into the town there's like a old hamburger place, kind of like they sell sliders, like White Castle, but an original place. And so we went up there to get burgers and went to the downtowns all the time. And then once I looked up, like, well, fuck, I've been there. That's where they shot Some Came Running. I had no idea.
I don't know how true this is. There's probably just a few scenes here and there. I just looked up St. Louis, but there's a movie called Mississippi Grind, and I know Vacation, the National Lampoon's Vacation. They shot a couple scenes here.
Yeah, when they stopped in up Holmes.
Most of these look like they're like What's Love Got to Do with It, Up in the Air. These are all movies that they travel through St. Louis. It looks like Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just kind of the second unit showed up to shoot a building or something.
Yeah,
so it looks like St.
Shoot
Louis.
the arch.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how you know it's in St. Louis. There's the big round arch, or the big, not round. I'll have to do a little bit more research because I really think Meet Bill and Escape from New York. John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Yeah, I want to come over. I want to see the Escape from New York.
I've been to a couple of them. One of the bridges is gone. I think that they filmed on. I think it's gone because they rebuilt a bridge after 1981. The bridge from Illinois to St. Louis. I don't know. I'd have to double check because a friend of mine came up in, I want to say 2008, and we went. And he was dressed up like Snake Plissken and everything. So
it's amazing how many times things get reused and you don't realize it. Like I was watching a movie the other day from the 80s or 70s, and I was like, I saw the cemetery. I'm like, well, that's the Nightmare on Elm Street cemetery because where they come to where Nancy's sitting on the steps of that.
Where was that even filmed?
It's in Los Angeles. It's I've been to most of the Nightmare on Elm Street locations from the first movie. I don't remember.
But not the second movie?
In the second, I went to the school, which was the Karate Kid school.
Yeah.
And
Jesse and LaRusso were going to sing Graduating Class.
There's so many similarities too because they both have a scene on the playing field. And
his locker.
Yeah. So, and it's actually, I think it's actually an elementary school.
Oh, really?
I think
that makes sense. If it's not multiple floor, which has always bothered me because the Elm Street High in the first movie was like a multi-level building, and this one's all like a California school.
Yeah, and I went to the first one, the one where the high school where they pull up Johnny Depp and on. They went to that school, and then I went to the Tommy Doyle's high school in Halloween where they trip him and he smashes the pumpkin.
Those are California schools for sure. There are no outdoor hallways in Illinois. I went to school. I lived in Vista, California, in the early 1990s, and our school was just like Tommy Doyle's. The hallway was outside to go from building or the classroom to classroom. There are none like that here. So that's one way I know that they're not in Ohio, because there's no way they're, you're not going from class to class outside. I mean, my high school is like that, but they were building to building, so with multiple classrooms in them. But anyway.
I don't know where the Part 4 high school was. The only thing I went to the high.
You don't see much of the exterior of that high school, though. I mean, you see the parking lot, and then you see a scene where with that long hallway that Rick runs down. Right. That's about
I think a lot of Part 4 was shot on stages.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sets. I mean, I think the Crave Inn. I think I almost went to that, but I didn't. But I did go to Alice and Rick's house.
Yeah, I remember seeing those pictures. I want to sit on the same toilet that Rick sits on. Where's that?
That's so sad.
I want to see if it turns into an elevator from hell while I'm taking a shit.
Going down. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get out to California one of these days, because eventually, I mean, the Elm Street house has already changed. Didn't they put a gate up or something like that in the front?
Yes, they put a gate from what I've seen pictures. I mean, I got there before they did that, but last time I saw, they painted the door black to put a gate up. So yeah, it's like whoever's there seems to be making an effort to mask it or keep people out.
I think personally, I don't blame them. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure people there every fucking day.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention the driving tours that go past it. It's like it's not like the guy who owns the lawyer or whatever who owns the Myers house, who probably just loves the attention. Why wouldn't you?
Well, they do. The Myers house it's like a insurance place, or
that's what it is. I thought it was a law office, but yeah, insurance.
Maybe it's a law office.
It's a business right across the street from the
hardware store.
Yeah, the hardware store. Yeah,
it's right next to it. They do have a sign on the door that says stay off the porch kind of thing, so they don't want you can take pictures but don't come up on the porch
like a grumpy old man.
Yeah,
my porch.
But yeah, the road's there, and they got a railroad track. The hardware store's here across the railroad track, sitting. It's an awkward place, but it's the Myers house. From what I understand, the guy was driving by, saw it, they were going to demolish it or whatever, and he said, "I want it," and he dumped it where he didn't have where to put it. He dumped it there.
Yeah, didn't he pay $1 for it or something like that?
Something crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they kept it.
Yeah, when you hear those stories, it's wild. Like William Malone, who sculpted the Myers mask, I met him at Wonderfest, and he talked about how there was a warehouse, and they were going to throw a bunch of shit out of this warehouse, and they called him, and he went down there, and when he went in there, he realized all this stuff was the sets from Alien. So all that Alien spaceship interior and stuff. So he's like, I want all this. So he tried to get as much as he could and put it somewhere, but they were just going to throw it out.
That's insane. I mean, they don't care.
No, it's it's like Sasha said on our show when he was on. He's like, it's just a coal mining town. It's just and there's so many locations where they're just not there anymore because the building was demolished. So many of these movies where we see a diner or something like that, they were abandoned when they shot them there. They would just they dress it up, and after 10 years, they were just junk, and they tear it down. Like the restaurant in Pulp Fiction, where they have the finale and the opening's gone. The place where Reservoir Dogs was shot, the Rendezvous, I guess it was a funeral home, that's gone. So yeah, like Pulp Fiction, they're like the guy who runs the pawn shop. He said He said that was the only existing location from Pulp Fiction left, which is not true because Lance's house, I went to that too. Eric Stoltz's house.
What about Butch's apartment? Those buildings are gone?
I think that may be gone.
The hotel, even?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. If it wasn't, then I just didn't see it. I think there's some other ones, but I think a lot of the buildings are gone. Like they'd be torn down. Like you still go, like like because there were some places where I'd go where like you just don't even recognize it, but that's where it was.
Oh, you can still find some stuff. Like I'm sure you could find that corner where Marcellus Wallace was hit.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a way to figure that out. Like outdoor locations are probably the easier ones to find. I watch Sean Clark's Horrors Hollow Grounds constantly because he finds all these locations really easily. Probably not easily. He probably does a lot of research, but
he knows so many people.
He does know a lot of people. Yeah.
He gets like the call sheets or something, or where.
Yeah, did you see the American Werewolf in London episode? He had actual call sheets for going. Like he showed them on the screen, and it was really cool.
I remember when I was doing the Friday 6 one, he got Tom Matthews gave him the map that they drew.
Yeah, to get to the location.
To be able to get to the location.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so that's when I realized, because I was going to go to the camp anyway. That's when I saw, I was like, oh, the cemetery's down the road. Okay.
That's what, man, I envy Sean for doing all this. That's just like the coolest thing to ever do is all these filming locations. He does a good job too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. There's one we want to go to the Dirty Dancing where they shot the whole club or whatever, country club or whatever. It's supposed to be New York, but it's Virginia or West Virginia. So we were going to do that.
You can go out there and see Keith.
Yeah.
Do some Dirty Dancing with Keith. Oh, man.
I love it. I love doing it. I love trying to find them. It's exciting.
Yeah. I think next time I travel, I should look. Like, I was just in Minnesota this summer. I'm sure there's stuff that was filmed up in Minneapolis. And
yeah, I wanted to do a trip because I have a friend up there in Green Bay, and I wanted to go through Chicago, and I wanted to go up to the Wisconsin and Minnesota. And like not just movies, but I wanted to go to Plainfield, like where
Ed
Gein was, and I know his house was tore down, but I kind of want to go anyway. And
they tore that down pretty fast, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was gone.
Yeah.
And then Madison, Wisconsin's where Smart Studios, where Garbage was based out of, where Butch Vig recorded Nevermind and Siamese Dream.
One of the infamous serial killers of all time from there.
Oh, Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah, that area, Jeffrey Dahmer. Which is weird because why would I know people go past those places. Most of them aren't there anymore, but like, why would you? That's icky. Yeah,
like this last trip down to Florida, I had a day to kill because Brenda wanted to go see mermaids across this. So her and her sisters went to this thing for mermaids, and me and Lily drove down to Miami. Well, we didn't go all the way to Miami, but we went north of Miami. And because I almost went to Miami to see like Scarface locations and stuff. But we went to just, I think, Fort Lauderdale. So that's like where Revenge of the Nerds 2.
Yeah.
But there was also, what else did we see? Oh, Bully.
Oh.
Which they shot it where that crime actually happened, where they killed that guy. Hollywood, Florida. So we went there.
They did? They filmed in the same area?
Yeah.
Weird.
Like they used the real Pizza Hut. And we went to the Pizza Hut's now like a veterinarian office. It looks like a Pizza Hut, but they repainted it. And
they're all the old Pizza Hut buildings around here or something. One's a Subway. John Wayne Gacy was up north. He was not near me. I don't want to see where John Wayne. His house is gone too.
Oh, and there's another. Yeah, they shot the Ted Bundy movie here because Morgan, who lives.
I was going to say Ted Bundy. Didn't that happen near Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, they caught him in Florida, right?
Yeah. He did.
But the movie that Zac Efron played him in was shot around here.
Extremely Wicked or something.
Yeah.
Seth wants to leave.
Okay. I do too.
Okay, yeah.
got some-
it's past midnight for you guys.
Yeah, I got to take my daughter.
It's just fun to bullshit and talk sometimes, you know.
Ed Wood,
Yeah, Ed Wood. Pull the teeth out.
our Lord and Savior.
Yeah. So, anybody still watching 3 hours later? Don't forget Wednesday is the big show, Halloween Resurrection.
You've been waiting all year. I'm gonna
8
tune
o'clock,
in.
9 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, I've been waiting all year for this one. Oh
'Cause
Lord.
I don't love people shitting on movies, but that one deserves it.
Let me ask you guys, because I don't remember. Now, when we covered the Halloween movies, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, did we talk about? I don't have any recollection. I remember talking about the Rob Zombie movies. I remember talking about 4 and 5. I do not remember talking about Resurrection for some reason. Did we just not spend much time on that one? Or do I have to go back into the annals of
I
the
mean, I
horror
think we
syndicate?
talked about all of them, but we probably breezed through it because we didn't want to give it much. Because I mean, there's moments. I know a lot of people love that opening with the guy who's obsessed with serial killers.
Oh, don't even get Seth started on that.
Yeah, but
Seth hates the opening of that movie.
I don't like it either. I think it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I like that moment though with the guy talking about the serial killers, but Seth hates it. I know that's going to be.
Yeah,
Well-
there's. Go ahead.
I mean, he's an expert on serial killers, but when he references Halloween 2, he's like, he also killed 3 nurses and a paramedic. Motherfucker, he killed way more people than that in Halloween 2. And this is from the same director as Halloween 2.
Yeah, don't
That's
make
true.
Yeah. Like, how do you not get the like? Somebody please give David Gordon Green the fucking credit that he obviously knows the series and respected it and homaged it throughout his trilogy. Like, there's so many little details.
Yep.
Whereas all the
Yeah.
other Halloween films are so fucking inconsistent with information and details and years, and just like the Nightmare movies are, just like the Friday movies are.
Yeah.
David Gordon Green at least has so many Easter eggs in there that work and match, and like that. I mean, and I don't get why that isn't the case every time that you don't watch a movie and make sure you get things right. You know, like I just love, even though he didn't get everything right, but I just love that John Carl Beechler decided to make Jason have every wound and every mark he had in the
I
whole
love
series.
that. Yeah.
That's such a great, like, why not? He should. And I mean, the only thing he didn't was the bullet hole from part 6.
Part
in the
6,
mask.
yeah.
But he had the bullet hole, I think, in his face, in the makeup, I think.
Yeah, but not in the mask for some. It's the same mask.
Yeah.
Not that I care. I mean, because everything else. I mean, he had the big chunk out of the mask from the motorboat.
And the
He had
and
the hatchet. Yeah, it's
all that stuff. And so I love that attention to detail.
mm-hmm.
And David Gordon Green, Michael had the dead eye and he had the stab in his neck. He didn't have that in any other movie. We saw him get poked in the eye. We saw him get stabbed in the neck.
He had the neck thing in Halloween too, didn't he?
But yeah, he did, because the mask still had the hole in it. It was the same mask.
Right.
But no one else had. I mean, I guess we never.
Wait. It was the same mask?
Yeah.
It was a different mask.
Dick Warlock's wearing the same mask that Nick Castle.
Why is the neck discolored?
Because the paint was coming off.
Oh, okay. I thought they just forgot to paint the neck.
Yeah, because it was, that paint's not going to last. It was just spray painted.
Yeah.
And so Dick Warlock said, even the nose, he said the reason nose, because he would always take it off, like he would pull on the nose. So the nose was getting smudged and the paint's coming off.
Dick Warlock made that thing look weird.
Yeah. And his face was wider, so it stretched it. And they call it the Warlock stretch. Because Nick Castle has a long head.
Most of his ex-girlfriends called something else the Warlock stretch, if you know what I mean. All right, guys. It was fun just bullshitting.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to do that. Next week, Sleepy Hollow. And, of course, Halloween Resurrection. I got to watch it sometime this week. I'm not looking
I got to do a whole episode on that movie.
Best idea.
Torture.
It'll give me time. It'll give me time to pick it apart.
Yeah, Seth. I can't wait to see what Sean has to say about it.
I might have to watch it just so I can because I just to try to find
get that yearly viewing in
to find something in it that I like. because I can't think of anything.
Even Jamie Lee Curtis's or Laurie Strode's death isn't that great in that movie.
It's
There's
awful.
something about it that bothers me, and it's kind of ambiguous.
It doesn't. It's just it's so tragic to kill her off that way. Like
Yeah.
because she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to be in the movie, and it's like, just don't put her in it. Then don't just put her in it to kill her off, and destroy a great iconic character that way. And the movie just made no sense. That's my biggest beef with that movie. Is like H2O establishes that Michael comes on the 17th birthday of a family member or whatever, Judith, Lori, John, and now like what's he doing now? He just shows up again to kill Lori. Why? Where was he for 20 years if he just wanted to kill Lori? Why does he break into a fucking hospital?
I will say if you watch 1, 2, and H2O and stop, that's a pretty damn good trilogy.
It is, yeah.
So even though I'm not a big fan of H2O, but
I don't love H2O, but that was the perfect ending for Laurie Strode and for Michael Myers. Just like this new one ended it. We know it's not the last one, but I wouldn't want them to. Like, well, the guy in the meat grinder was the milkman, and Michael put him in the mask. Or it was Corey. It was just Corey. They got the wrong body.
Actually, Michael was the sheriff the whole time.
It was Corey's body.
Yeah. Oh, it could have been.
That's probably what they did.
His body. Like what?
They just left it there. They went on their march. And
I mean, they had to have got it out of there by the time the ending, though, because they shot all over house. But
that's where we pick it up. The Corey gets up. He's not dead.
Let's put Corey in there with Michael and grind them together, and then they'll make burgers.
Because they could do that, like if people are like, well, Corey, the evil transferred to Corey. Well, Michael wouldn't have killed him that way. Then like he could get back up. Yeah,
I think it was called Retribution, right? So.
Yep.
It was Seth did an article. It's on thehorrorsyndicate.com. Actually, if you scroll down the Facebook page, I posted it on Wednesday. So, all right, we got to stop, or we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
So, Halloween Resurrection on Wednesday and next Sunday, Sleepy Hollow. You guys, it's always fun seeing both of you. We'll see you later. Bye.